आज मैं इस मंच के माध्यम से देश के 130 करोड़ लोगों को अपील करता हूं कि इस राष्ट्र मिशन मेक इंडिया नंबर 1 इस राष्ट्र मिशन के साथ जुड़ें। जिस दिन 130 करोड़ लोग एक साथ जुड़ गए, भारत को दुनिया का नंबर 1 देश बनने से कोई नहीं रोक सकता। और हमारा किसी पार्टी से कोई लेना देना नहीं है। यह मिशन राष्ट्रीय मिशन है, यह देश को आगे ले जाने का मिशन है, यह किसी पार्टी का मिशन नहीं है। इसलिए मैं आह्वान करना चाहता हूं, सारे बीजेपी वाले भी साथ आओ, सारे कांग्रेस वाले भी साथ आओ, इस पार्टी वाले भी साथ आओ, उस पार्टी वाले भी साथ आओ। भारत आखिर पीछे क्यों रह गया? दोस्तों, अगर इनके भरोसे छोड़ दिया, इन पार्टियों और इन नेताओं के भरोसे छोड़ दिया, तो अगले 75 साल और पीछे रह जाएंगे। इनमें से किसी को अपना परिवार प्यारा है, इनमें से किसी को अपना दोस्त प्यारा है, किसी को भ्रष्टाचार करना है।
That whether this drive can actually be carried out at 2:30 or not. The green signal is about to be given at 2:15 when all these plans, all these strategies will be enacted at 2:30, 15 minutes from the time when the timing has been decided. In the meanwhile, the traffic restrictions will be closed. The expressway, which is right adjacent to, barely 500 meters away from this location, will also be closed. Traffic diversions have already been given to the people, and every assurance is being given that they don't need to be in any kind of fear. This is a planned demolition, and everything will be under control. In the last 6 months, 3,700 kgs of explosive have been placed at every floor of this building. If you look at those white color, curtains, and the black color curtain, which have been placed by the edifice officers, these are the locations where all these explosives have been put in. What we have got to know that around 57,000 holes have been done by the edifice officers, and every hole has been placed with all these highly explosive material, which is known as TNT, which will be triggered from a distance of around 100 meters. According to the Indian law, there has to be a person who will switch which will press his finger on the switch. According to the Indian law, no foreigner can do that. He has also been trained regarding this particular drive. So at around 2:30 is the time when he will press the button when the tower will fall at its place. What we are being told that a debris of 2 to 3 floors will be there, which will be later on shifted to another location, which we have been showing it to our viewers since 2 to 3 days.
Okay. That's right, and there have been a lot of challenges as well for bringing down this structure. Priyank, like you mentioned, it's in a densely populated area. So one of the biggest challenges is the fact that this is in very close proximity to another building. The residents of the building have been evacuated already. In fact, in the adjoining society as well, about 5,000 families have already been vacated from there. But one of the biggest challenges in this controlled explosion is the fact that there are so many buildings close by. To give us a sense of how that's going to work out, Karishma is joining us live. Karishma, take us through the challenges that, as the explosion takes place. There have been several challenges. The reason why so much preps have gone into this controlled explosion is also the fact that it's in a densely populated area. The fact that there are buildings that are so close to each other, that's going to be one of the biggest challenges.
Well, yes, absolutely. That is going to be one of the biggest challenges, and that is one of the main concerns when this controlled explosion takes place, that the societies that are in the 50-meter radius of the Supertech Twin Towers, there is minimum damage to them. In fact, I can show you from where I am standing. The tallest building that you see obviously is the Twin Towers, but right besides, both sides, the buildings are covered, which are the nearby societies. They are covered with white curtains. Those are the societies that need to be taken care of, and it's being said that minimum damage would be done to them, but obviously nobody can take 100% guarantee of what sort of an impact is the controlled explosion going to happen, because it is in the recent memory of this country for the very first time that something like this is happening, and evacuations have been done, whether it was stray animals or all living beings. Everything has been moved out from these societies, and alternate arrangements have been made for them so that there is all clear for 2:30 p.m. when under 10 seconds is what we are being told, that the entire two towers that are right behind me, 29 floors and 32 floors, are going to be razed to the ground. So massive challenge for edifice, for the Noida authorities, but all the preps, all that has been planned for the last month and the last few days, obviously going to culminate at 2:30 p.m. Like Priyank was saying, 2:15 p.m. is when the last and final checks and the green signal is going to be given for the 2:30 p.m. controlled explosion, and everyone is only going to hope that that controlled explosion goes on as smoothly as possible and everything that has been planned is executed to the T.
Okay, all right. Let's also introduce guests joining us this morning. Manoj Mittal, President of the Structural Engineering Association of India. Rajiv Nehru, Market Lead Asia Pacific. And we also have BL Vora, IPS, and one of the signatories who's joining us on the broadcast. Mr. Manoj Mittal, first, when we talk about the explosion and how it's going to take place, if you can explain to us in detail how it's all going to take place. We know that 3,700 kgs of high-grade explosives have been placed in the building. If you can explain to us how it's going to ensure that the building collapses onto itself, it's not going to be a huge explosion, and what is the mechanics that goes behind it to ensure that it goes according to plan?
Yeah, see, basically, when you design a building, you take care of all kinds of loads. There are vertical loads, other kind of loads. Similarly, when you have to demolish a structure, so you need to understand the structural behavior of a existing building. So, if I remove a column from somewhere, then it will collapse in certain manner. If I remove two columns, it will demolish. It will collapse in some other manner. So basically, what we do in this kind of a demolition, when we want to do the implosion, so that building collapses into itself, and the debris and everything is within the footprint of the building itself. So basically, we design the demolition in such a manner that the collapse happen in such a manner that debris do not go outside the perimeter of the footprint of the building. So this is all complex engineering, and this is all done by simulation and all those kind of things. That is why you must have heard from your reporters and other edifice and other people that they have placed a certain kind of a explosive, and the size of the holes, the location of the hole, and the type of explosive, and quantity of the explosive, everything is predetermined so that we have the collapse in a particular manner. So this is all very detailed engineering, and after a lot of calculations and simulations and experimentation, and after a lot of experience, we do these kind of implosion for demolition.
Okay, all right. Mr. Rajiv Nehru, this, of course, is a story that has captured the imagination of the entire country, and, it has garnered a lot of interest as well. What do you think the victory of the residents and the demolition really means for the people?
Basically, the idea here is that if something has been built which was probably infringement of the law, of the building regulations, then there is an answer in the country vis-a-vis. Obviously, Supreme Court has to come in and give the answer. But then probably we are all in this fraternity where we are technical people, so we don't really want to get into the wrong side of the law. We always try to follow the bylaws. There are almost 35 permissions which are required when a building is made or even started, the site is started. We have to go to many people or many organizations for permissions, like the municipal corporation, the environmental corporation, the pollution control boards, and other departments, fire or PWD. So there is a inbuilt robust system of regulation, especially after ERA came in, so which you really, if you follow to a T, then probably you will make the best possible building. And obviously if you do not follow the T, then there could be objections along the way. So we don't really have an imagination to use here. We only have to follow the rules. And in the last 10 years, if you see, the building regulations have matured a lot in terms of the concerns to the environment, concerns to the human habitation, concerns to the transportation, concerns to the flora, fauna, and the water bodies around us. So probably this probably is an answer to those questions or thoughts which probably challenge a system which is well laid out. And coming to the victory of the residents, of course, it is. I think it is more than that. It's victory of the system, which we all should follow, and probably it would also mean that all of us have to be technically sound, even if we are not civil engineers, or as Manoj said, we are not structural engineers, but we have to follow, we have to have a technical mindset while we are even buying those apartments. What are the views, areas, height, and probably some basic permissions which are in place we should always ask for, so that we are sure that what we are buying or getting into is something which has been made as per the system and as per the rules and regulations.
That's true. In fact, let's take it from the residents themselves. Rajesh Rana, who is a former president of the Residents Welfare Association of Supertech, is also joining us. Mr. Rana, I'm sure it was a legal battle, harrowing, yes, but when you started to take on the big builders, when you knew that no, this is not right, this is a violation of the norms, and you were taking on the big builders, were you aware that you're going to one day see a landmark judgment in this case? Or, were there a little bit of apprehensions among the residents as well that we're taking on these big builders, there are so many illegal structures, maybe this is a defeated battle? Mr. Rana, can you hear me? Okay, all right. Let's take in some of the reactions of the residents that have come in. A lot of residents, of course, evacuated, waiting for the explosion to take place at 2:30 p.m.
बिल्कुल बहुत ही डिफरेंट सा एंड अलग सा एक्सपीरियंस रहने वाला है. लोग काफ़ी इस बात को सोच भी रहे थे कि जो अगल बगल लोग रहेंगे, जब ये ऑर्डर आया था कि ये कैसे होने वाला है, क्योंकि बहुत सारा मलबा उड़ेगा और बहुत वैसे ही पोल्यूशन की इतनी प्रॉब्लम है नोएडा में, तो हम लोग यही सोचे थे कि कैसे होने वाला है. बट काफ़ी अमेजिंग है कि इन लोग ने इतना अच्छा इनोवेटिव तरीका निकाला है कि सारा इतना प्रोसेस किया है कि पूरा कपड़ा लगाया है एंड सुना है काफ़ी स्प्रिंकलर्स वगैरह भी लगाए हैं ताकि वो डस्ट बैठ जाए। तो हाँ, बिल्कुल काफ़ी अमेजिंग है।
नहीं, लाइक ऐसा पहले तो कभी नहीं हुआ है, बट करप्शन के अगेंस्ट अगर ऐसा हो रहा है तो अच्छा है। और लोग और जो भी अगर आगे बिल्डर्स के लिए भी एक अच्छा लेसन है कि बाद में कभी वो इस तरह से लाइक वो नहीं करेंगे, गलत वे में नहीं बनाएंगे बिल्डिंग्स।
All right, on that note, we're slipping into a very short break here. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Welcome back. A lot of police deployment has also been put in place to ensure that everything goes on smoothly. Like we mentioned, just as the preparations to ensure that the building collapses onto itself and there is no collateral damage, a lot of preparations have also been put in place to ensure that there are contingency measures. NDRF teams have been deployed at the spot. Police officials have also been deployed. 500-meter radius around the towers, completely cordoned off to ensure that there is no distraction, nothing goes wrong when the explosion takes place at 2:30 p.m.
देखिए, मैंने पहले भी कहा है कि जो हॉस्पिटल चयनित किए गए हैं वो आसपास ही किए गए हैं। उद्देश्य ये है कि जो भी हमारे जो कर्मी लगे हुए हैं वो पूरी तरह ब्रीफ हो, उनको पता हो कि कौन सा रूट हो। इसी के लिए हम लोगों ने आज एक ड्राई रन किया।
अगर एक्सप्रेसवे की बात करें तो कितनी देर के लिए बंद किया जाएगा और कितने पहले बंद किया जाएगा?
देखिए, वो तो अभी बिल्कुल बंद नहीं है, अभी सामान्य चल रहा है। वो करीब दोपहर का समय रहेगा। ब्लास्ट से 15 मिनट पहले उसे बंद करने की जो हमारी योजना है, और ब्लास्ट के बाद जैसे ही डस्ट सेटल हो जाता है, चाहे वो 10 मिनट लगे, हो सकता है 20 मिनट भी लग सकता है, तो उसको फिर हम ये कर सकते हैं।
धन्यवाद। इंस्टेंट कमांडर का रूप में कमिश्नर ऑफ पुलिस ने मुझे नॉमिनेट किया है। मेरा साथ मुझे असिस्ट करने के लिए 5 इंस्टेंट सब कमांडर्स होंगे। यहाँ पे जो इंस्टेंट कमांड सेंटर बनाया गया है, इसमें जो 7 सीसीटीवी कैमरास है उसको फीड दिया जा रहा है। जो 7 सीसीटीवी कैमरास बिल्कुल एक्सक्लूजन जोन में बनाया गया है। और जो ट्रैफिक का एक एक्सपर्ट रहेंगे, जो हमारा ट्रैफिक कांस्टेबल रहेंगे, जो लगातार मॉनिटर करते रहेंगे। परी चौक और महामाया के आसपास जो ट्रैफिक डाइवर्शन पॉइंट्स है, जो लास्ट में उसका प्रेशर पॉइंट्स भी हमको बताते रहेंगे। एक्सक्लूजन जोन के आसपास जो ट्रैफिक डाइवर्शन में और कंजेशन पॉइंट्स पे क्या है, उसको भी हमको अवगत कराते रहेंगे। जो इंसिडेंट सब कमांडर्स है वो ब्लास्ट से पहले मैं उन सभी लोगों से ओके सिग्नल लूँगा। ओके सिग्नल लेने के बाद मैं ब्लास्ट टीम के साथ रहूँगा, तो मैं उन लोगों को ओके करने के बाद ही, ग्रीन सिग्नल देने के बाद ही वो ब्लास्ट इनिशिएशन होगा।
All right, so these are the preparations that have gone in place. Like we mentioned, bringing down a building is not easy, and there's extensive amount of coordination that has gone in as well with the authorities. Mr. Vora is also joining us. So Vora's big victory for the residents there, but also a lot of preparations that are put in place, a lot of coordination between different authorities, the different departments within the city as well to ensure everything goes on smoothly.
Definitely a big victory of the residents against corruption, if I may say so. And it's a landmark thing that is happening because many builders, as you know, are unscrupulous and they do all these kinds of irregularities. I hope that this trend continues. Secondly, it's a huge experience for various organs of the government, whether it's the police, whether it's the administration, whether other departments. And those who are going to carry this task today, it's a huge experience for them. Because in India, to the best of my knowledge, we have not had such a big demolition so far. So anyway, it is good. But I also hope that whatever is done today, institutional memory is there and all this record is kept properly. Now we have to keep our fingers crossed on a couple of matters. One is see that I hope the demolition goes on the way it is planned, because there have been cases in the world where demolitions have gone wrong and horribly wrong. Buildings have fallen on the other side, not on the intended side. They have half fallen. They have been half demolished and half remains. Some portion inside remains, some portion outside has been demolished. And the adjoining buildings. And a lot of other issues are there, you know, the neighbors and all that. But all said and done, I think that it's a challenge to us, to India, and I am very, very hopeful it will go on well today. And I'm sure they have contingency plans if something goes wrong. And the best part is the residents are cooperating, and we are all learning. So I think let's hope for the best. And I think let us say as if Raman is going up.
That's right. Mr. Rajesh Rana, just to go back a little on the case, if you can tell us, you know, how it all started. You mentioned the kind of battle that went on, but for the last 10 years, how it all started and how it finally came up to this, if you can give us details on that.
See, it's a long drawn battle which started somewhere in 2010. And it actually started when we had put our RTI and Noida Authority wanted to know what is coming up on this this place, which was actually a green area for us. And as a matter of fact, I'm the closest resident to this building. I'm in Esther 2. So the RTI reply was that they had asked builder to give them a clearance whether the map or other details should be handed over to the RWA or not. And from there on, when we got nothing, we moved to High Court and we got relief from there. And subsequently, that was very obvious that Supertech moved in for relief from Supreme Court. But we had our documents, we had our logic very strong. And fortunately, the RWA working then and now also, they all were very clear that this is an illegal monster which has to go down. Yeah, fight was very long. I would say it was delayed, but eventually it's a historical judgment which came in our favor, and we are very happy.
That's right. Historical battle, and it finally came out to this, an unprecedented verdict that was given out. It finally comes down to this at 2:30 p.m. today. The two towers that you're seeing right behind me are going to be crushed completely. It's going to be brought down in a controlled explosion that will be taking place. A lot expected, the preparations in place, the residents there. We're going to get you all of that after a very quick break. To stay with us. Welcome back as we get you the updates of the Supertech Twin Towers that are going to be brought down. To give you the details of the towers, it's about 100 meters each of them and about 850 flats that are going to be completely crushed, brought down to dust in just 9 seconds at 2:30 a.m. But for the residents around, there have been a few anxious moments on what would happen next. The residents have been evacuated. About 5,000 of them have been evacuated to safer places to ensure that everything is fine. But of course, there is a fear among the residents as well that in case there is any damage to their homes, which is why they've covered up everything. A lot of residents have also taken their belongings completely and shifted to safer locations. Sabir Sachi is joining us live with more details. Sabir Sachi, for the residents there, over the last few weeks, there have been a lot of anxious moments. Before I come to you, let me take in a word from Niyamika, who is with the residents. Niyamika, the residents have been assured that there will be nothing wrong, that there will be no collateral damage. But those who are bringing down the buildings have said that there could be some glasses breaking. So the residents, of course, have expressed their concerns on what happens to their property. Is there going to be a lot of damages? Get us a few voices on the concerns of the residents.
Well, absolutely. Today it is a matter of just 9 seconds to demolish those twin towers. But on the other hand, it is days of preparations which are going on for the residents as well as for the authorities to evacuate this whole area. And today we are standing here in the Silver City Society, where the people of those area have been shifted. And right now we are standing here in the club area of Silver City Society. And as you can see in the visuals as well, that proper preparations have been made by the society members for these people, so that they can feel comfortable, they can reside here without any kind of issue being faced. And let us go across to some of the people who have been residing here, who were being there at earlier, and now they have been shifted here for a safer place. आपका नाम क्या है?
जीशान।
कैसा लग रहा है आपको ये आज इतने सालों का स्ट्रगल आप लोगों का था, एक फाइट थी करप्शन के अगेंस्ट जिसको जीत लिया है आप लोगों ने, और आज ये जो 2 टावर से डिमोलिश हो रही है, कैसा आप फील कर रहे हैं?
वेरी ग्लैड कि ये फाइनली हो रहा है। काफ़ी लॉन्ग ड्यू था and I'm just happy कि आज finally demolish हो जाएगा, and I just hope everything goes safe and sound.
Yeah, but are you feeling anxious, or there is a kind of a fear about this whole process?
Fear as such नहीं होता, because the company who is responsible as Edifice, they're pretty experienced, they've done this before, so I'm hoping a safe demolition. As such fear बहुत नहीं है।
जैसे पहले से बोला गया था कि कुछ ग्लासेस जो है वो ब्रेक हो सकते हैं, सामान को आप लोगों को प्रॉपर तरीके से रखने के लिए कुछ स्पेशल इंस्ट्रक्शंस दिए गए थे, तो उन सब से सैटिस्फाइड है? आपको लग रहा है कि प्रॉपर प्रिपरेशंस जो है वो की गई है?
हाँ जी, सो बेसिकली हम लोग को डस्ट के रिगार्डिंग ज़्यादा एक कंसर्न था, बिकॉज आफ्टर डिमोलिशन डस्ट का एक क्लाउड उठेगा। सो उसके लिए हम लोग ने अपने डोर्स एंड विंडोज़ पे कवर कर लिए थे, मार्जिन जो भी गैप्स होते हैं उनको कवर कर लिया था, एंड अदरवाइज जो वॉल हैंगिंग्स होती हैं उनको हम लोग ने उतार दिया था, जस्ट इन केस वाइब्रेशंस वगैरह हो तो ये सब गिरे ना।
So these are the voices of the residents, and let us go across to some other people as well. Sir, आप क्या कहना चाहेंगे? आज ये 2 टावर जो है वो डिमोलिश हो रही है, और आप लोग को यहाँ पर शिफ्ट किया गया है, क्या पूरी अरेंजमेंट से सेटिस्फाइड है आप लोग?
वेरी मच। मैं ये कह सकता हूँ कि ऐसे नेबर ईश्वर करे सबको मिले, द वे दे हैव डेल्ट विद द पीपल। हालांकि मैं इसमें नहीं बता रहा हूँ, मेरी बेटी भी यही रहती है, बहुत अच्छी है, वेरी गुड, हॉस्पिटेबल, गुड, काइंड, फूड, एवरीथिंग इज गुड।
बट आर यू फीलिंग एंशियस? जो जब ये डिमोलिश किया जाएगा तो डस्ट का एक जो इशू है वो हो सकता है, हेल्थ कंसर्न्स होंगे आपकी तरफ से भी कुछ?
ऐसा है, मेरा ख्याल है कि वो जो इशू ज़रूर है, लेकिन डाउजिंग करने के लिए उन्होंने कम से कम इतने टैंकर्स, स्प्रिंकलर्स एंड अदर्स आर देयर, बाकी थोड़ा बहुत होगा, इशू नेचर है, थोड़ा बहुत तो होगा, यूज़ दैट, बट लेकिन वी आर नॉट अफ्रेड नाउ। एटलीस्ट एक चीज़ बात हो रही है, जो भी हम प्रॉब्लम्स फेस कर रहे थे, आई मीन सुपर टेक वाले, वो तो ख़त्म हो गई। यस, एंड दैट इज़ वंडरफुल थिंग। हमें किसी को प्रॉब्लम नहीं है, वी आर वेरी हैप्पी।
वेकेट करने में भी आपको कोई ऐसे प्रॉब्लम नहीं आया? आप लोगों को जो यहाँ पर शिफ्ट किया गया, उसमें आप लोगों को
कोई ऐसी प्रॉब्लम मैंने वेरी फ्रैंक, हालांकि मैंने यहाँ नहीं किया हुआ क्योंकि मेरी बेटी भी यहीं रहती है, तो इसलिए उन्होंने मुझे उनके घर आ गए, तो मैं अपने सारे ईस्टर्न वालों, ये जो सुपर टेक वालों को लेने के लिए आ गया। बहुत अच्छा अरेंजमेंट, वेरी गुड, वेरी हैप्पी, थैंक यू।
So these are the voices of the people, and they are saying that they are really happy about the fact that they have been shifted here, and they have basically fought an 11-year long fight against the corruption, and today the final day has come when these twin towers are going to be demolished. And I would also like to show you some other visuals as well. As this is a nearby society, and the proper preparations are also being made here, as well as you can see outside this area that this entire area has been covered with cellophane, and there is a chance that there would be dust pollution that would be created because of the debris which will come out after this demolition, and that is the reason why this entire area has been covered. And for that matter, because elderly people are also staying here, so proper medical arrangements are also being made. As you can see here as well, that oxygen cylinders are being put upon here, that if in case there would be some kind of need for the people who feels a breathing issue at that point of time, so proper arrangements for the medical facilities are also being made by the society members, and they are really satisfied about the fact that all the authorities are cooperating with them. They are being made sure that they feel comfortable here living in the Silver City society.
Okay, all right. Niyamika, thank you for that report. The residents there, of course, very happy. The fact that after so many years of a legal battle, the structure is finally going to come down, so they're happy about that. Of course, they're a little worried also for their homes on whether there will be any damages that will be sustained because of the collapse of these buildings. Sabyasachi is also joining us live. Sabyasachi, a lot of preparations that have gone in place, and the anxious wait now for the entire city, perhaps people across the country as well, to see that moment at 2:30 when the buildings come down.
Well, absolutely. See, most of the residents are waiting for the final moment when the building will come down. But if you talk about the concerns that the residents have, one of the major concern is the post-demolition scenario. That is how they have to deal with the pollution and the dust. For that, the preparations has been made. As we know, several anti-smog guns and water sprinklers, water tanks has been put out in several locations. Also, another concern that the residents have is the vibration that would be generated post the explosion. So the vibration would be generated in an area about 30 meters from the demolition spot, and the scale will be around 0.4 Richter scale, which is very less, and Noida societies has been built to withstand a Richter scale of around 6. So these are some of the concerns which the residents have, but the preparations are almost over, and the green signal has been given by the Noida authority. So residents out here will be going to the terrace of Silver City or the other societies where they are in to watch the demolition, because it has been a long wait of over 9 years that they have to wait for this justice justice. We have seen that Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath also had tweeted about this, saying the illegal building absolutely has no space in the new Uttar Pradesh and in the new India. Behind me you can see some of the residents are sitting out here. These are the arrangements which has been made for them to make sure that they feel safe while the demolitions take place. Back to you.
Okay, all right. In fact, we had also spoken to Utkarsh Mehta, who is part of Edifice Engineering, the company that is involved in bringing down these structures. Like we mentioned, there is always talk of architectural marvels of the buildings, the construction of a building, but it's an equally tougher job to ensure that the buildings, when they're demolished, are brought down without any damage to the buildings around. So a lot of work has gone into it. What is the method that is going to be used? How is it that the company is going to ensure that there is going to be minimal damage, and is there going to be any vibration that's going to affect the rest of the city as well? These are some of the questions that people have on their minds. Let's have Mr. Utkarsh answer it for himself.
Collateral, we don't see anything happening. Initially, with the current scenario even of the Emerald Court and the vibration predictions what we have from a company in UK, we don't see any damages even with the current strength of the structure which Emerald Court is having. Okay. We are confident that nothing is going to happen except some cosmetic cracks in the plasters. Structural cracks are not going to come.
Okay. All right. Despite the assurances, of course, the residents have been waiting very, very eagerly for this moment. We have Nivedita Saxena and Anupam Mishra, residents of Supertech Eco Village, who are joining us. Nivedita, it's been a long wait. Finally, you're going to see these buildings come down. Tell us a little bit about, firstly, let me ask you, how do you feel after so many years, after it went even to the Supreme Court? There have been several delays. Finally, today is the D-Day.
Of course, finally today is the D-Day. It has been not denied. It has been delayed. The verdict has been delayed, definitely. But we are very happy. Means, like I should say, we are enthralled to see this. Ultimately, it is a verdict for the local people who invest their hard-earned money in these builders, flats. And when we are shown the map of the flats in the beginning, when we book the flats, there's a green area. They promise a lot of green area to us. But when we get, after years of spending money, what we get is not what we are being promised. So this is a justice which is for the local people. It is not for the politicians. It's not for somebody else. And it is a lesson for each and every builder around us, that they should not now dare to do such things in future. It is going to cost them, so definitely we are enthralled.
Okay, all right. So Anupam, what about you? After several, after a long wait, it's finally happening. But as a resident, do you feel happy that finally the towers are going to come in, or are you also a little bit worried because the debris is going to take about 3 months to clear up, and we don't know yet what the impact is going to be? The assurance that's given is there's not going to be anything to worry about.
See, the consequences is always there, right? Because if something is going good, then definitely there is a effect part is also always there. I mean, the environmental effect, the dust and that materials that is there, right? So lots of people that they will be suffer. So my happiness, I can say that it's not 100% happy with this decision, to be very frank. That is good that that now after 7 years they are at least after our honorable Supreme Court, now the building is going to demolished just because of this, the order. But see, what my say on this note, that at least the property should be attached of the builders too, right? The responsible authority officials too, because they are enjoying, to be very frank, because now I don't think that the builders, the CMD of the company, the builders are, they are they are worried about these things, right? Because these monies are totally taken from the buyers, not from the, I mean, this is totally, I mean, our hardcore money, right? Which is right now where and there, like, you know, they are just due to the lots of corruption, they are right now, I mean, indulge with this kind of activities and all. So what I feel that, like, you know, at least this penalty should be for the builders too, because their personal property should be also attached, you know, along with this decision. Because what is going on right now, the property is the property, what the D-Day we are saying, the demolition is just, it's a buyer's money, right? It's not their personal money. If their personal money, if their personal properties attached with that particular decision along, I mean, this should be the addition. This is my advice. I'm not questioning to the, you know, honorable Supreme Court judgment, but I am just saying that this is my advice, that at least the penalties should be you know, taken from them, and that should be imposed to those builders, the corrupt builders, and the authority persons too, because why the hell they are, I mean, doing you know, allowing them.
More action the builders themselves need to pay. Remember, the Supreme Court has said that not just should the home buyers be compensated, but action should also be taken against the Noida officials, those who were in collusion with the builders to give permission for these structures to come in, whereas it was in clear violation of the norms. So thank you so much for joining us with your views on that. We're slipping into a quick break here. Don't go anywhere. Our live rolling coverage continues here on Times Now as we continue to speak not just to the experts and the residents, but also get you all the details on the preparations that are taking place. Welcome back. As we get you the coverage of the kind of preparations that have gone in place to bring down these buildings, the Twin Towers right behind me, there is also a contingency plan that has been put in place. A green corridor has been put in place for ambulances to move in just in case anything goes wrong. It has been put on standby. My colleague Priyank Tripathi gets us a report on a mock drill that was conducted this morning to ensure that everything goes according to plan.
For the explosion, now green corridor mock drills are being done on this flyover, which is known as JP flyover. Now you can see these ambulances, traffic police posters, as well as the interceptor vehicles are being used by the Noida police, and they are also doing an announcement that passage should be given to the ambulances. These kind of, drills are being carried out at several locations. So the drills are being carried out. Preparations are at least.
Yeah, the preparations are at place. As you can see, the dry run for green corridor is also going on. Police is already deployed at every place nearby the exclusion zone also. I think everything is fine as of now, but I'll take an okay report from everyone, especially the RWA societies regarding the evacuation. Then by 2:15 I'll have to take a round also. Before that I have a lot of work. Please excuse me.
Yeah, certainly. So there you heard from the command in charge, who is also here at this command room. And apart from the mock drills, there have been specific arrangement which has been done in place, but all eyes on this particular building, because the demolition will happen around 2:30. For 9 seconds, what is going to happen to fate of the other two buildings, although those edifice officials have already got insurance of around 100 crores if in case there is any kind of destruction which also happen or damage which also happen to the adjacent property. But in between that, preparations are certainly on here in Noida.
Okay, all right. That was Priyank's report on the ambulance drill, the mock drill that was conducted. These ambulances have been put on standby. Police deployment also in several areas, especially outside the Twin Towers. 500 meters around the Twin Towers have also been cordoned off completely. No movement allowed at all. Priyank is also joining us live with more details. Priyank, not just the emergency services like the ambulances, but also other precautions that are taken by the officials, like police deployment, NDRF teams that have been deployed. Take us through the details.
Hello? Mic change, sir. Mic change, आपका मेरा mic. Hello.
Yes, Pratibha, all these preparations are set, and what we have seen right now that at this mobile monitoring unit, Mayur, who is the project manager, has also reached here, and he is having a consultation with the senior officials of the Uttar Pradesh police who have also been deployed on ground. So what we are seeing are very good coordinated effort by agencies.
Around 2:50 at the time when the final coordination is given from the coordinators who are there inside.
Okay, all right. We seem to be having a bit of a technical difficulty there. Priyank, will come back to you for more details on that. But as Priyank's report just showed us, ambulances that have been put on standby. Apart from that, like we mentioned, police deployment as well. Over 560 policemen that have been deployed outside. NDRF teams also on standby. This right behind me is the Twin Towers. To get you a little bit of detail on the magnitude and the scale at which the demolition is going to take place, there are 850 flats that were built and have existed for a long time now that are going to be razed completely. The entire building, both of it, is about 100 meters, and it's a massive structure. So as it is brought down, 3,700 kgs of explosives have been used. So these have been structurally placed inside at strategic points to ensure that the building, when the explosion takes place, does not just burst, it falls onto itself. So there has been a lot of planning that has gone behind it. There has been a lot of anxiousness as well on how it will all play out. We'll get you all of those details after a very short break. Do stay with us.
there will have to be bilateral agreement with whoever we want. There's too much of politics involved for there to be a regional trade agreement in South Asia.
We are aware of reports of a proposed visit by this vessel, Hambantota port in August. Let me just say the government carefully monitors any development having a bearing on India's security and economic interests and takes all necessary measures to safeguard them.
But also having a supply chain within the country.
Right now, we are standing at Parasna Society where the residents are present out here. There are a large number of residents which has gone to different societies which has welcomed them during this period, and all eyes are on the demolition which is going to soon take place. We'll get some quick reaction from the people out here. मैम आपसे पूछना चाहूँगा छोटा सा सवाल कि जो फाइनल अपडेट अभी आया है एडिफिस और जेट की तरफ से कि ग्रीन सिग्नल मिल चुका है डेमोलिशन के लिए, दे कैन गो अहेड विद द प्लान 2:30 में, इस पे क्या कहेंगे मैम?
इस पे हम यही कहेंगे कि हम लोग वी शुड प्रे कि भैया सब लोग अच्छी तरह से हो जाए, सब लोग अच्छी तरह से रहे, उनका घर अच्छे से रहे और सब कुछ स्मूथली चला जाए. दैट्स इट ओनली.
मैम आप कुछ कहना चाहेंगे? और इतने साल का जो लीगल बैटल था फाइनली टाइम आ चुका है और एडिफिस और जेट की तरफ से ग्रीन सिग्नल मिल चुका है, 2:30 बजे डेमोलिशन शुरू हो जाएगा. क्या
हम लोग बहुत बहुत थैंक यू एडिकेस से और उनकी तरफ से भी, और आरडब्ल्यू वाले हमारे सुपर टेक वाले बहुत ही अच्छा काम कर रहे हैं, और इधर पारसनाथ वाले हम लोग को मतलब काफ़ी हेल्प कर रहे हैं. तो हम भगवान से प्रे करेंगे कि अच्छी तरीके से वो गिरे, किसी भी रेसिडेंट का कोई नुकसान ना हो, कुछ ना हो, जिससे कि सबका अच्छी तरीके से रहेगी.
मैम आपसे पूछना चाहूँगा कि कंसर्न्स कुछ हैं आपको डेमोलिशंस को लेके?
इनसे पूछे, तुम बताओ सोनिका.
व्हाट आर द कंसर्न्स? आपको कुछ कंसर्न्स है पूरे प्रोसेस को लेके, डेमोलिशन को लेके?
हमारे कंसर्न्स ये हैं कि हमें सेफ्टी ऑफ रेजिडेंट्स चाहिए और सेफ्टी ऑफ स्ट्रक्चर चाहिए. दो हमारे कंसर्न्स हैं. वाइब्रेशन के बाद हमारे स्ट्रक्चर पे उसका क्या फ़र्क पड़ेगा. सो दोज आर आवर कंसर्न्स कि हमारा पोस्ट डेमोलिशन ऑडिट होना बहुत ज़रूरी है. सो ये तीनों चीज़ों का, अगर 2-3 चीज़ों का ध्यान रखा जाए तो आई थिंक विल बी गुड, विल बी टेकन केयर ऑफ.
मैम आप कुछ कहना चाहेंगे?
मतलब हमें धूल का डर है कि धूल ना आए, और जो सबको डस्ट एलर्जी की प्रॉब्लम होती है, हमारे सोसाइटी में सीनियर सिटीजन बहुत रहते हैं तो सबको डस्ट एलर्जी है. छोटे छोटे बच्चे हैं आजकल, उनको भी डस्ट एलर्जी की प्रॉब्लम है. तो डस्ट जल्दी से जल्दी
सेटल हो जाए। हम तो भगवान से प्रार्थना करें झमाझम बरस जाए ब्लास्ट के बाद, तो सारी धूल मिट्टी दब जाए और जो हमारे घर हैं वो सुरक्षित रहें, उनका बाल बांका भी ना हो। और स्पेशली वो जो एस्टर 2, एस्टर 3 एंड एस्टर 1, एस्पायर 1 है, जहाँ हमारे फ्रेंड्स रहते हैं, वो घर भी सब सुरक्षित रहें, वहाँ पे भी किसी का कोई नुकसान ना हो। बस भगवान से यही प्रार्थना है और ये बिल्कुल अच्छे से हो जाए, सक्सेसफुली इसका डिमोलिशन हो जाए, बस यही हमारा कंसर्न है।
We'll get some more reactions. सर आपसे पूछना चाहूँगा कि द फाइनल आवर्स जस्ट आने वाला है, कंसर्न्स हमने देखा है, वाइब्रेशन को लेके कंसर्न्स है, पॉल्यूशन को लेके कंसर्न्स है, बट आर यू सैटिस्फाइड विद द ओवरऑल प्रिपरेशंस दैट यू हैव सीन?
See, CBRI was involved, and we have, at the end of the day, we have to trust our scientists, we have to trust science and engineering, and we expect everything to go with textbook precision. There would be some pollution related issues. Vibration may result in some damages. For that, post-structural audit is planned.
All right, let's begin with some breaking news that's just coming in. The checks have been completed as of now on the Noida Twin Towers that are going to be brought down. The final checks are currently being done, and every single floor is being checked by the officials there. They are currently there at the spot. They are manually checking what's happening. Karishma is joining us live with more details on this. Karishma, very, very crucial, the checks taking place right now. We're told officials are at every single floor checking it and ensuring that everything is in place for the demolition.
Well, yes, absolutely, Pratibha, and Ishwarya has shared this piece of breaking news that all checks have been done and that jet demolition edifice engineering are ready for the demolition, and that inspection has been done manually by Joe and his team of blasters, and that each and every floor has been checked. So clearly everything is all set for the 2:30 p.m. controlled explosion that is going to take place. Once again, just going to show our viewers the towers that are right behind me, 29 floors and 32 floors over here that are going to be raised to the ground in about 9 seconds. What we are being told, the societies just adjacent to it, both covered in white curtains to ensure that there is minimal damage to the.
जब तक यहाँ पे कंफर्टेबल ना हो वापस आने के लिए हमें कोई दिक्कत नहीं हमारे साथ यहाँ पर।
तो इसके लिए जैसे क्या आपकी तरफ से कोई टीम बनाई गई है या कैसे पूरी मैनेजमेंट कैसे?
हमारी एवे की टीम है, कुछ वॉलंटियर्स भी हैं, सब लोग बैठे हुए हैं साथ में, हमारे वॉलंटियर्स की टीम है, तो सब लोग मिलकर।
तो बाहर आपने एक बोर्ड लगा रखा है
जी
मेंबर, तो अभी जो लोग आए, आपकी बात हुई हो, क्या पैनिक में है, कैसे है, क्या है?
पैनिक में तो हैं, खैर ऑब्वियसली उनके इतने नियर बहुत ज़्यादा करीब में इस तरह का एक्टिविटी होने वाली है, डेमोलेशन हो रहा है, तो थोड़ा पैनिक में भी हैं, थोड़ा टेंशन में भी होंगे और जायज़ भी है। सिर्फ आपके 9 मीटर दूर एक टावर है जो ब्लास्ट किया जाएगा, तो उसकी ऑब्वियसली उनमें थोड़ी बहुत तो है टेंशन, तो हम लोग उनसे बातचीत करके थोड़ा सा इतना उनको रिलैक्स हो सके करने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं।
मैं भी करता हूँ।
Okay, all right. So those were the residents expressing some of their concerns. Remember, it's a big victory for the residents because the illegal towers will finally be brought down. But there is a bit of a worry as well. So, all right, so those were some of the details that came in from the residents on the worries that they have because this is so close to their house. Let's also get in Nyamika here. Nyamika has been speaking to the residents and they have been expressing their fears on the same. Nyamika, the residents there, while welcoming the order and the fact that the structure will finally be brought down, there is also some anxiousness on, what will happen. Their belongings are right there, their homes are there. Will it have any cracks? Talk to some of the residents, get us their voices on what their concerns are.
Well, certainly, as you can see behind me, that there are some people who are the residents of that area who have been shifted here to the Silver City, and let us go across to them. What are their concerns and how are they feeling about the fact that today these twin towers are going to be demolished? Sir, आपसे बात करते हैं सबसे पहले आपको कैसा लग रहा है, क्या आपके कंसर्न्स है कुछ इस पूरे मामले को लेकर, आपके अपने घर को लेकर आपको टेंशन एंशियसनेस फील हो रही है?
देखिए, मैं तो सिल्वर सिटी का ही रेजिडेंट हूँ और अपने नेबर्स के हेल्प के लिए हम लोग यहाँ पर इकट्ठे हुए हैं। और किसी तरीके की कोई वरी वाली में जो कोई बात लग नहीं रही है, क्योंकि एक एक्सपर्ट टीम काम कर रही है और अथॉरिटीज़ की तरफ से पूरे इंतजाम किए गए हैं, तो इसलिए मैं नहीं समझता किसी तरीके की कोई परेशानी होने वाली है और सभी ये काम जो होगा ठीक ठाक तरीके से जरूर।
सिल्वर सिटी भी काफ़ी पास में है ट्विन टावर्स के, तो इतना बड़ा एक्सक्लूसिव होने वाला है, तो आपको कुछ डर है अपने घर को लेकर, या जिस तरीके की गाइडलाइंस आप लोगों को दी गई थी, क्या कुछ आप लोगों ने फॉलो किया है?
देखिए, डर तो ऐसा कुछ नहीं है, लेकिन हाँ एक उत्सुकता जरूर है, थोड़ा सा एंक्शियस है कि क्या होगा, ये थोड़ा सा मन में वो है, लेकिन ऐसा कोई डर वाली चीज़ मुझे नहीं लग रही कि ऐसा कुछ कोई गंभीर समस्या कुछ आने वाली है। और इंतज़ाम तो आप देख ही रहे हैं, यहाँ पे हमने अपने नेबर्स के लिए भी यहाँ पे इंतजाम किया है, और इसके अलावा जैसे कवर वगैरह जो कर दिया गया है, स्विमिंग पूल को भी कवर कर दिया गया है डस्ट वगैरह से, और हम लोगों को सबको ये इंस्ट्रक्शंस दी गई हैं कि अपनी बालकनीज और इन सब पे बाहर ना आए उस समय पे, और दरवाजे खिड़कियां सब बंद ही रखें ताकि मतलब डस्ट वगैरह उस समय पे ना अंदर आ पाए। और
So these were the voices of the people, and they are also saying that they have made certain arrangements for all the residents who are residing here, who have been shifted here, because the demolition is going to be done at 2:30 p.m. and there are certain arrangements that are being done. Even the medical facilities are also provided to the residents of those area, and apart from that, this entire area,
like you mentioned, so just about 3.5 hours to go, Niyamika. The big wait now, we are inching closer towards that demolition that will take place, the controlled explosion at 2:30 p.m. 3.5 hours to go, but you know, there has been a lot of thought, a lot of planning that has gone behind ensuring that when the building is finally razed down, it comes down with minimal damage being caused to the buildings around, to the buildings across Noida, and to the people around as well. Sabir Sachi is also joining us live. He is with those who are part of bringing down the building. Sabir Sachi, over to you.
Well, absolutely. See, these are the workers who are part of the super tech. Will get to know their side of the story, their reaction. Sir, सबसे पहले आपसे पूछना चाहूँगा कि आप कहाँ काम करते हैं और जो परिस्थिति है जो बिल्डिंग गिराने की, इस पे क्या कहेंगे सर?
हम लोग ओटिस एलिवेटर कंपनी से हैं, और हमारी कंपनी ओटिस एलिवेटर से 100% सेफ्टी का ध्यान रखती है। तो अभी हम लोगों ने सारे यहाँ पे 22 लिफ्ट्स हैं, 22 लिफ्ट्स को हम लोगों ने टॉप फ्लोर पर खड़ा कर दिया है और इमरजेंसी अपने कंट्रोल में करके, और उसके बाद पावर सप्लाई ऑफ कर दिया है, जिससे कि अब जब भी ये बिल्डिंग डिमोलाइज होगी उसके बाद हम लोग जाके एक लिफ्ट को प्रॉपर तरीके से चेक करेंगे, और चेक करने के बाद में उस पर खुद ट्रायल करेंगे, उसके बाद फिर पब्लिक यूज के लिए छोड़ेंगे।
सर, आप डेमोलिशन के बाद कुछ चैलेंजेस होंगे जो
इसमें होता है, उसमें क्या डेमोलिशन के बाद क्या जब इसमें ब्लास्ट होगा, वाइब्रेशन होता है, वाइब्रेशन आजू बाजू की जो बिल्डिंग होता है तो उसके अंदर कोई इफेक्ट आता है, तो हमारे जो लिफ्ट शाफ्ट के अंदर लिफ्ट चलता है तो उसमें वाइब्रेशन की वजह से उसमें काउंटर वेट या कुछ रैक बोर्ड, कोई मैकेनिकल पार्ट जो है अनबैलेंस तो नहीं हो गया है मतलब, तो उसके लिए हम लोग प्रॉपर तरीके से चेक करके फिर उसके बाद पब्लिक यूज के लिए छोड़ेंगे।
विल गेट सम मोर रिएक्शन सर। सर, आपसे ही पूछना चाहूँगा कि कितना मेहनत भरा ये काम रहा है और आपका अगर एक्सपीरियंस शेयर करें।
क्या है, हम सुबह मॉर्निंग में 6 बजे रिपोर्ट कर दिए थे। मैं मेंटेनेंस टीम का लीडर हूँ, मेरे अंडर में मेंटेनेंस टीम थी, तो हमने सारी जितने टावर हैं सबकी पावर सप्लाई ऑफ की है, 1 बाय 1 करके सभी लिफ्टों को शट डाउन किया है, और उसके बाद जो भी एसिड हैं जिसमें कार्ड लगे होते हैं, जो भी इलेक्ट्रिकल के पार्ट हैं, सबको कवर्ड किया है और सबको शट डाउन किया है। अभी डेमोलिशन के बाद देखते हैं कि वहाँ पर जाके क्या स्थिति होती है, उसके हिसाब से हम उसको दोबारा रीस्टोर करेंगे पावर को। 15 के 15 टावर होगी।
सर, डेमोलिशन के बाद क्योंकि मलबा बहुत जमा हो जाएगा, वो एक चैलेंज रहेगा।
वही सबसे बड़ा चैलेंज है, लेकिन उसके लिए एडिफिक्स कंपनी है और भी बहुत सारी एजेंसियां हैं, उस पर काम कर रही हैं। हमारा काम है रिस्टोर कराना पावर सप्लाई, वाटर सप्लाई 15 के 15 टावरों को जल्द से जल्द।
Well, there you clearly heard, and this is the entire team of the maintenance as well as the people who were responsible for cutting the power as well as the other supply and making sure that after the demolition it is restored. We'll get some more reaction. Sir, आपसे ही पूछना चाहूँगा, आप अपना एक्सपीरियंस शेयर करें. जो मेंटेनेंस रिगार्डिंग वर्क था, पावर कट था, उसको फिर से रिस्टोर करना, ये प्रोसीजर अगर बताएं और कितनी चैलेंजिंग ये प्रोसेस है.
देखिए, ये डेमोलिशन करने के बाद ही पता चलेगा कि वही डैमेज क्या क्या है और नुकसान क्या क्या हुआ है. अगर कोई नुकसान नहीं हुआ है तो हम सारी सर्विसेज 1 घंटे के अंदर रेस्टोर कर लेंगे. तो सप्लाई वगैरह PBNL से काट दी गई है सेक्टर की, तो जैसे ही सप्लाई आएगी हम लोग सप्लाई रेस्टोर कर लेंगे. और नहीं है तो हमारे पास DG हैं जो अभी हमने कवर कर रखे हैं डस्ट वगैरह के लिए, वो सब हटा के हम लोग DG पे आ जाएंगे. तो सप्लाई रेस्टोर करने में टाइम नहीं लगेगा, बट ये डेमोलिशन अपने टाइप का एक इकलौता डेमोलिशन है जो पहली बार हो रहा है इंडिया में, इतनी ऊंची बिल्डिंग. तो उसके बाद क्या क्या होता है क्या नहीं होता है, सो वी विल वेट टिल 3 o'clock in the evening, then we will plan accordingly.
Well, there you heard that it is one of a kind of demolition, and looking after the demolition what the situation is, they can say whether it will take time to restore the power or not, and right now they can't say much on it because it's the first kind of a demolition which is going to take place in the country. Back to you.
Preparations are underway, and 2:30 p.m. is when we're expecting that demolition to be carried out, and the Twin Towers will come down in 9 seconds. Now, quickly listening into the man who will push the trigger, all preparations in place, but this is what he has to say.
Obviously, I'm nervous. मेन दिक्कत रहती है जब एक्सप्लोजन होता है तो कुछ ना कुछ फ्लाई करता है. जैसा था कि यहाँ जो कंक्रीट में हम लोगों ने एक्सप्लोसिव फिट किया है, जो कंक्रीट में एक्सप्लोसिव फिट किया है, तो वो एक्सप्लोसिव काफ़ी हद तक फ्लाई करेगा ड्यूरिंग द एक्सप्लोजन, और एक्सप्लोसिव जो फ्लाई करेगा तो वो आसपास की बिल्डिंग्स को हार्म कर सकता है. सबसे बड़ा चैलेंज एडीवीस के पास यही था कि सबसे पहले इस एक्सप्लोजन के टाइम इस कंक्रीट को कैसे कंट्रोल किया जाए कि ये फ्लाई ना करे. वहाँ इन्होंने इसे 4 लेयर्स ऑफ आयरन मैसेज को पहले कवर किया है. उसके बाद ये जियो फाइबर है, इसकी भी 2 और 3 लेयर्स लगी हैं विच विल कंप्लीटली कंट्रोल द फ्लाई ऑफ कंक्रीट.
So yes, there's a team that is working hard the last couple of months to really go ahead with this big demolition. Remember, 9 seconds, those are very, very crucial 9 seconds that we will be looking at perhaps at 2:30 p.m. So we've been speaking to several experts, the engineers really, the men of the hour who will be going ahead and pressing that button to demolish the Twin Towers. More reactions coming in.
Well, the almost 100 meters tall twin towers will be pulled down in the middle of a residential locality, a thickly populated one, and individuals who've been given the task, this daunting task, are joining us on the broadcast. We have with us Joe Brinkman, who in fact is the managing director of Jet Demolition, and we also have Kevin Smith, the senior manager of Jet Demolition. Gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us on the broadcast. I want to begin with you, Mr. Brinkman. You're also called the Master Blaster. You've seen several tall towers crumble right in front of you. Can you help our viewers understand the process that is going to be followed when it comes to the Twin Towers?
Yes, well, on a large structure like this, it's built in a high seismic hazard zone, so it's built very strong. So what we've had to do is do a very careful design to make sure that we will rupture the right structural elements in the right way and in the right sequence. So that's done by first stripping out the building of unnecessary internals, walls and so forth. Then there's lots of holes drilled. In this building there's 9,642 holes. And then those holes are charged with explosives, and they are all linked together with an initiation system so we can get the right timing and sequence of holes firing to burst the columns. So it's quite some process, and it's based very much on engineering and a great deal also on experience. So this process will take in total about 7 seconds for all of the holes to fire, and then the entire process from first movement until all of the debris is on the ground will take just about 12 and a half seconds to complete.
You know, I was reading somewhere that the crew members have had to climb 30 floors. every time to check the positioning of the explosives?
Yes.
Repeatedly they had to repeat this process because even a bird might disrupt the procedure. Is that right? And can you also talk about the precision with which it is going to be carried out?
Yes, well, it's always possible that some animal will come through and chew through some element of the initiation system, but to counter that, we do have redundancy built in. So if there is any particular link which has been severed, there's always a backup link. It's quite uncommon, but it has happened before. But that will be checked thoroughly again tomorrow morning from 6 o'clock right through up until about 12 o'clock. Everything will be rechecked for the third time. So we do make sure that everything is fully functional before we fire the shot.
Absolutely. Kevin Smith, can you help us understand the kind of explosives that are being used? Also, given the fact that the Twin Towers are located amidst a thickly populated residential locality?
So, if I understand your question correctly, we'll be mostly using PTN explosives and emulsion explosives with a non-electric detonation system.
What about the safety measures? Because like I said, it's a thickly populated residential locality. There are a lot of concerns about, the impact on the adjoining structures, Mr. Smith.
So, Mr. Joe Brinkman, our entire methodology is based around the safety of the people and the surrounding structures. We have gone through a great length to ensure the safety of the surrounding structures and to ensure that there's no flying debris that may injure some civilians. So we have 5 to 6 layers of protection to ensure that everything goes well.
Right. Mr. Brinkman, whenever, a demolition of such a nature and on such a large scale is carried out, there are always concerns about the immediate impact on the environment. Was that taken into consideration? What is the immediate impact that we are looking at, and what are the possible solutions that the team provides before, of course, going ahead with the demolition and the use of explosives?
Okay, well, if you look at all the effects on the environment, there's first of all the noise side. There's a large amount of explosives going off over a short period of time, so that generates over pressure in the air. So that has the potential of causing damage, like breaking windows perhaps if they're too close. The other environmental effect is vibration, the impact of the structure as it touches down to the ground, and that is mitigated by forming a stream of particles which impacts the ground over several seconds as opposed to having one large mass impacting it in one go. And then of course there's the dust, which is inevitable from this type of work. You simply can't stop it at source, but the dust is comprised primarily of calcium, which is the main ingredient in the concrete. Unfortunately, calcium is a very good nutrient for the soil, and it's included in most fertilizers, in fact. So the dust cloud will dissipate. Tomorrow we should have winds of about 15 k's per hour. So that should help the dust to dissipate and fall down to earth. And it doesn't cause damage to plants and so forth. So there's really very little effect from the environmental side from the implosion.
All right. Mr. Smith, is there also a risk of aftershocks when such demolitions are carried out?
No. The initial little vibration will be created by the implosion itself, and there will be no aftershock whatsoever. So, hello?
Yes, I can hear you, sir. Go ahead.
So, I'm not aware of any aftershock in the implosion. There will be a slight vibration that's created by the building, but not the explosive itself, by the building coming down and making contact with the ground, but there will be no aftershock.
Mr. Brinkman, what will be left behind is, of course, tons and tons of debris and rubble. How long does it normally take to clear that off?
Edifice have planned to clear the site within about 3 months. So the concrete will be broken up and recycled, and the steel will be also separated from the concrete and also recycled. So you're looking at nearly 100% recycling rate from this building.
Can you also help us understand the prep that goes in before such a large-scale demolition is carried out? Of course, the controlled explosion, and I'm sure the maneuvering, the movement is predicted before that happens. But tell us about the dry runs that took place.
Sorry, we just had a burst of wind here. Would you repeat the
I just want to understand from you the preparation that happens ahead of a demolition of such a nature, about the dry runs, the mock drills, if I can put it that way.
Oh, the mock drill before to evacuate people, is that it?
Yes, and the preparation that goes in.
Yes. Well, the preparation, it's quite a process to interact with all the various authorities and the people who are affected in the exclusion zone. So here we're clearing out people between about 250 to 450 meters from the site. And they are notified ahead of time, and there's detailed planning done with the authorities, especially the police, which will go around and actually check that everyone is clear from the buildings. There's the utilities, the water, the electricity, which is being turned off. So all of these liaisons have to take place and interactions with the people affected so that all of the creases are ironed out and everything flows smoothly tomorrow. So from 7 o'clock in the morning, people will be evacuated, and then we'll have the checkpoints, which will all have radios in contact with us at the blasting point, so we can make sure that the entire area is clear. We'll have drones flying around as well to look for any persons who should not be in the exclusion zone, and if they are there, that may delay the firing time, but we're hoping not. So we are planning to have everyone out and clear by 2:30 when we can fire the blast.
Mr. Smith, can you throw some light on the safety measures that have been taken? Of course, one cannot control the movement of dust, but we're being told that there are several layers of iron mesh that have been put in place already.
So the steel wire rope, the placement, that the protection that we put, I can hear myself speaking, I'm so sorry.
Okay, we will try to resolve that. I would like to take that question across to Mr. Brinkman. If you can take that question, Mr. Brinkman.
You're talking about the protection of the blast itself?
Yes.
Yes, well, what we have done around every column that has an explosive charge, we have multiple layers of a very heavy steel wire fence. Then around that is multiple layers of a heavy geotextile fabric. So that expands when the explosives are detonated, so that the concrete and the steel within the column are ruptured, but then contained within that protection envelope. As a further precaution, we then have a layer of material around the outside of the building to catch any small particles that might have escaped from the column. And then as a final layer of protection, the surrounding buildings have a geotextile curtain placed over them, which will protect them from small particles which are forced out and carried with the implosion wind, we call it. As the building collapses, it forces the wind out, and that can carry small debris with it. So those curtains on the adjacent buildings will stop those small particles from impacting the facades and the windows of those buildings.
All right, Mr. Brinkman and Kevin Smith, thank you very much for joining us in the broadcast. All the best to your entire team. Thank you very much for giving us your time.
Unfortunately, I don't think you will see trade integration in the South Asian region. No. There will have to be bilateral agreement with whoever we want. There's too much of politics involved for there to be a regional trade agreement in South Asia. So we can keep that aside. We can have integration in dancing, we can have integration in cooking, but certainly are not going to have integration as far as the economy is concerned.
A very good morning. Thanks for staying with us here on Times Now. In 3 hours from now, the Twin Towers will come down like a pack of cards. The largest team of reporters getting you minute-by-minute updates on the same. These are the details that we're tracking in the latest view as the top 10 developments of the day as far as the Twin Tower collapse goes. 2 adjacent societies have been evacuated. We're talking about the Emerald Court and the ATS Village societies, very, very close to where the Twin Towers are, and they stand completely evacuated as evacuation started 7 a.m. onwards. 50 ambulances, 20 fire tenders currently on the spot to take into account any sort of mishap that follows given the demolition post 2:30 p.m. 560 personnel, police personnel have also been deployed, so additional forces being pulled in at the moment to make sure that all arrangements stay in place. Roads near the Twin Towers have been closed. Remember, the Greater Noida Expressway has also been shut for vehicular movement from 2:15 to 2:45 p.m. So all checks near Twin Towers have been done, as has been also confirmed by Jet Demolition and Edifice Engineering, the company that is responsible for going ahead with that all crucial implosion. Control rooms have been set up in front of towers. They are the rooms that will be taking up complaints, registering complaints in the aftermath of the demolition. In fact, this morning we also saw how NGOs, several members could be seen rescuing stray dogs, stray animals around the building. So really leaving no stone unturned as far as the evacuation operations go, and to keep the situation under control in the aftermath of the demolition, water sprinklers and smog guns have also been placed. Let me quickly go across to Priyank, who's also getting us non-stop reports on what the preparations are looking like. Priyank, yes, what more can you tell us?
Yes, certainly the stage is set, the preparations are certainly over, and the final preparation has already been completed. That's what edifice has stated. These are the tasks for which we have been talking about, that how there have been multiple agencies which are working on the ground since 6 months, and today is the D-Day when the actual demolition will happen. We have been telling to our viewers that some of them, the residents, still fear that there can be a slight situation when the debris can fall on the other side, but the edifice has certainly denied this speculation. They have stated that every effort has been put in place properly. All these detonators have been placed in such a manner that the debris will fall on this side. You can see on my backdrop all the media channels, every media crew is stationed here. They want to see this this demolition, because people want to know that how India has proceeded and how they will be managing to demolish this structure, which was an epical tower of corruption. The moment you take the Greater Noida Expressway, this tower was very prominently seen from every distance, but now after 2:30 the tower will be demolished. To keep a close watch on what has been happening, this incident command center has been set here. We have seen that the site engineers and everyone who is concerned to this particular demolition, the senior officials had visited this location. Later to that, we also saw that the senior police officials of the Joint CP rank also came here to see the preparedness. On the other side, this road has been blocked at multiple locations. On this particular stretch of this flyover Pratibha, you can see that there are multiple layers of barricade which has already been put in. We spoke to the senior officials here in Noida Police. The DCP of traffic, he himself is present here. He is monitoring the situation on the ground. The incident the command room is also being headed by a DCP rank officer, an IPS officer who's also heading this particular operation. Apart from that, we have seen that the Noida Police have also deployed multiple police personnel who are also wearing these vibrant color outfits, so that in case of any kind of emergency situation, the disaster management situation, everything can be brought under control. So what it appears after talking to senior officials and everyone who's on the ground, it appears that everything has been set at 2:15. The timing will be given to the Noida Police officials from the concerned edifice officer side that they are going to carry out this demolition at 2:30, and within 15 minutes of then there will be a big blast which will happen from 700 kgs of explosive, the TNT material, which has been put in around 7,000 holes, which has been done on these towers, and within 13 seconds, 9 to 12.5 seconds, this tower will drop down at its location. But the maximum visual scene, Pratibha, will be there at this particular park, which is totally green. There's a total greenery here, and within few minutes, what we are expecting that all these green plants will be covered with dust and smoke. We have also been advised by the Noida officials that from 2:30, and all these residents who are staying in all these towers, because the wind is coming from the western side, and if you look on the left-hand side of these towers, there are multiple towers which are coming up, and so certainly since the wind is coming from the western side, the wind will move towards the eastern side, and from 2:30 the Noida CEO has also advised every resident of India to start wearing the mask, so that any kind of pollutant which can enter their body can be stopped there and then.
All right, and as we keep up with you and the...
Okay. Okay, all right. That was Priyank's report there. We've been getting you the latest on what's happening. Like we've mentioned time and again, this is the Twin Towers right behind me. at 2:30 p.m. sharp, as per the plan, it will be razed down completely. In a controlled explosion, it will be reduced to rubble in just 9 seconds. So all eyes are going to be on the building, but more than that, it's a story of the victory of the people, of people's power, a defeat of corruption. That's how it's being seen. And a lot of preparations have gone into place. Like we mentioned, as much as the effort is to go into building any structure like this, we also have to take a lot of efforts to bring it down. We're also asking you viewers to call us, tell us what you think, any concerns that you have, any questions that you have. Join us on the broadcast. We have one of our viewers joining us from Mumbai. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, I think it's a colossal waste of national asset. Rather than demolishing this kind of tower, it should be simply handed over to the government for government use. Yes. So that we can we save the national assets as well as teach a lesson to the builder lobby. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, so this is a message to the builder lobby, and a very crucial one at that. Like we mentioned, it's an explosive message to the builders lobby, to the corrupt builders who think that they can build illegal structures in violation of the norms and get away with it. There are several illegal structures like that, but this message, the fact that this building is going to be razed completely, is going to be an extremely important message that's going to go out to the corrupt builders, to the builder nexus that the Supreme Court has also mentioned. Thank you so much for joining us with your views. Viewers, the numbers are flashing on your screens. Call us, join us, tell us your thoughts, any concerns that you have, any questions that you have. Join us with those details. We have Karishma joining us with more details on what's expected. Karishma, as you know, the build-up begins. We have just a few more hours to go. In 2.5 hours from now, the building is going to be razed completely.
Well, it's absolutely. In about 2 hours from now, the building is going to be razed completely, 2:30 p.m. And we have been showing you the towers are right behind us, 29 and 32 floors that are going to be brought down to the ground in about 9 seconds. Waterfall implosion is what is going to happen. 3,700 kgs of explosives being used, and all preparations have been done. The final checks and balances also have been done by the edifice engineering that is going to be responsible for this controlled explosion, and they are ready to go at about 2:30 p.m. when this controlled explosion is going to take place. The societies that are in the 50-meter radius of the Supertech Twin Towers have been secured, have been evacuated. Alternate arrangements have been made for them, and all of this has been done by the authorities, by the Noida authorities, and all precautionary measures have also been taken that need to be done for the 2:30 p.m. controlled explosion, and one is only going to hope and pray that everything goes as per plan and is executed as well as possible, because we were hearing to the person who's going to do this blast as well, and he said that when an explosion like this happens, there are chances of things flying, so all of that needs to be taken care of. Debris and the mushroom cloud of dust after the demolition is obviously going to be the top priority for the Noida authorities, and keeping that in mind, smog machines, water machines, all have been placed so that immediately, as much as possible, all of that can also be taken under control, Pratibha. So it is going to be very, very important at 2:30 p.m. To see how this controlled explosion takes place and what sort of an impact does it have.
Our call-in lines as well. Our viewers have started dialing in. Vishal is calling us from Assam. Good morning, Vishal. Yes, what is your opinion? How do you see this big development coming in, and what message essentially being sent out to the builder community?
Yeah, hello, I'm Vishal, and I just wanted to know, as a student, I feel that you're showing that there is demolition that is going to take place in the building today, but what are the consequences that were faced by the builders? You're not showing anything like what happened to the one who have committed the crime. What was the judgment that the Supreme Court gave? Where is the inquiry being held? And are the concerned officials who were involved in, this corrupt, what is happening to them? I just wanted to know. Nobody is showing that.
Okay. Okay, so we will answer some of your questions and perhaps through the course of our broadcast as well get into those details. For the moment, keeping our focus with the final checks that are currently underway as far as the demolition process goes. Pratibha continues to stay on with us. Yes, Pratibha.
That's right. As we continue our coverage of what's happening, just to get our viewers who are joining us now updated on what's happening, of course, we're keeping our call lines open. Viewers, join us, call us if you have any questions, any queries, your thoughts on what's happening. Do you think this is going to be a big message for the corrupt builders? Call us with your views. To give you a sense of what is going to happen in the next few hours, let's fill you in. At 2:30 p.m. sharp, the two towers that you see right behind me, the Twin Towers, the Super Tech Towers, are going to be raised completely. How? With an explosion that's going to take place, a controlled explosion with 3,700 kgs of explosives that have been put inside the buildings. To give you a sense of how huge the structure is, it's a massive structure. There are about 30 floors in each of those towers. They had permission for just 9 floors, and after which it was increased to 30 in violation of the norms. That's one of the reasons why it is being raised completely as well. So explosives have been put in place, and the entire structure is going to collapse in just 9 seconds at 2:30 p.m. So all eyes are going to be on these two towers, multiple story building that's going to be raised completely. It is for the very first time in the country that we are going to see a controlled explosion of such magnitude. So it has garnered a lot of interest. It's also very important because this is a victory of the residents against the corrupt builders. This building had taken permission in 2005 to build just 9 floors, after which it remodified its plan and it continued to build floors again and again. So now the Supreme Court has asked for the demolition of these towers. Sabyasachi is joining us live with more details. He has been getting us details of the kind of preparations that have gone in, the kind of fears that the residents have been facing as well. So Sabyasachi, now it all comes down to just about 2 hours to go for the buildings to be raised completely. Now the real work begins. A lot of last-minute checks that are being conducted to ensure that everything goes according to plan.
Well, absolutely. A lot of last-minute checks are being done, and just few minutes back we spoke to the maintenance team who was in charge of cutting the electricity in the entire nearby area, and their main concern and the major work will start once the demolition is over. We have also spoken to many residents from the nearby societies. The concerns that they have, one is definitely of the pollution, the second is of the kind of vibrations that it would generate, whether it would have any impact on their building or not. So they want that after the demolition a kind of audit should be done so that they can be absolutely sure that there is no structural damage to the building. And till now every check has been done by Edifice and Jet, and the process through which the building will be demolished is also called as the waterfall technique. This is the word which has been used by the Jet and the Edifice. So clearly at this particular moment it is very important, and at every single hour the Noida police is also carrying out checks, thorough checks in every route, because 500 meters have been completely cordoned off. Each and every single road has been blocked to 500 meters, and also to the nearby areas there has been thorough checks by the Noida police to make sure that there is no living being present in that particular vicinity. Back to you.
So quickly go back to our viewers. We have Devi calling us from Chennai. Good morning, Devi. Yes, what's your opinion? What do you make of this big demolition drive that's been carried out?
This action of demolition is it is going to be an eye-opener. As a citizen of India, I really insist the central government to have a strong rule against this kind of lobbying and corruption, because this is not only happening in Bombay. This kind of lobbying and going against the rules is happening everywhere in India, including Tamil Nadu and Chennai. So this kind of demolition is going to have an environmental impact also. So we really want, as a citizen of India, to the center to have a real rule to stop it.
Thank you for sharing your point of view, Devi. Let's quickly bring in Suresh calling us from Hyderabad. It's been a saga of corruption as far as this project goes, but a big win for all those who've been fighting this legal battle. Yes, Suresh.
Right. Since Times Now has been covering the most minute part of the environment, people around, this is the biggest lesson Times Now is now showing to the entire country and the world, that lobbying and by builders, lobbying of politicians, even nowadays in Hyderabad, you can see a local corporator also threatening people and occupying the lands. They are building left, right, and center. And when a disaster occurs, the media goes and coverages so many things. But the politicians are, entertaining such things, that this is the biggest lesson on 28/8/22 to tell the entire country, be careful, don't play with law and order. Excellent coverage. I'm watching the Times Now from morning. This is a lesson to the entire people who are lobbying against politicians and businessmen. Tomorrow, I'm showing even to my children to say that tomorrow, whenever you purchase the house, make sure that you take it as illegal.
Thank you for that, Mr. Suresh. Thank you for that. And yes, that's our aim really here on Times Now. The biggest coverage on your channel, viewers. 2:30 p.m. is when that illegal twin tower will be razed to ground, and we'll keep you ahead with each and every development coming to the fore. Slipping to a very short break here.
Welcome back. The corruption towers are going to be brought down in just a few moments from now. At 2:30 p.m. is the plan. And we have political reactions also coming in. Earlier today, the Chief Minister's office tweeted about the same, saying the towers of corruption are going to be brought down. Now we also have Keshav Prasad Maurya, who has tweeted on the same, and he has also blamed it on the SP government for giving permissions. Remember, this building had violated several norms. So in the tweet, केशव प्रसाद मौर्य सिंह, आज मुख्यमंत्री श्री योगी आदित्यनाथ जी के नेतृत्व में भाजपा की सरकार ने सपा के भ्रष्टाचार की इमारत ढगेगी. So this is a tweet that he has put out saying यही है न्याय, यही सुशासन. This is a tweet that's coming in from Keshav Prasad Maurya. Remember earlier today the Chief Minister's office had also tweeted the same, saying this is the new Uttar Pradesh where corruption will not be tolerated. It was after the Supreme Court verdict that the towers are going to be brought down. A lot of focus being seen as a normal residents, the common man's victory against the corrupt babus as well as the corrupt builders. That's what is being seen as. These towers that you see are going to be brought down in 9 seconds at 2:30 p.m. So a lot of focus on the kind of preparations that have gone in place. What's going to happen next? We've got you covered on all of those fronts here on Times Now, but political reactions as well that have been coming in that we are playing out right now from the BJP hitting out at the Samajwadi Party, saying and accusing the Samajwadi Party of allowing the towers to come up, saying it was during their tenure that the towers came up, and the officials under the SP government are the ones who allowed and ensured that the towers came up in violation of the norms.
देखिए, जो अवैध निर्माण उसको सरकार के अनुसार या कोर्ट के ऑर्डर के अनुसार उनको तोड़ना ही पड़ेगा. उसमें कुछ हो नहीं सकता, क्योंकि ये मैसेज आना चाहिए कि आप सरकारी संपत्ति पर या अपनी खुद की संपत्ति पर जो छूट है उससे अगर ज़्यादा बनाएंगे, जो आपको नॉर्म्स है उसको तोड़कर बनाएंगे, तो उस पर खिलाफ कार्रवाई होगी.
कि काफ़ी समय से ये खबर चल रही है और मेरी यही अपेक्षा है कि किसी को कोई इसके अंदर नुकसान ना हो और जो है सब कुछ जो है अच्छे तरीके से सुरक्षित ढंग से हो जाए.
All right, Anurag Bhadoria is over the phone line. You saw the reaction that's come in from the BJP leaders, Chief Minister's office. Now we have Keshav Prasad Maurya as well, blaming it on the Samajwadi Party, saying that these towers came up during your regime.
देखिए, सवाल ये है कि जो सरकार भ्रष्टाचार में डूबी हुई होती है, भारतीय जनता पार्टी की सरकार पूरी तरह से भ्रष्टाचार में डूबी हुई है. चाहे हेल्थ डिपार्टमेंट हो, चाहे पीडब्ल्यू डिपार्टमेंट हो, चाहे पशुधन विभाग का घोटाला हो, चाहे टीचर भर्ती घोटाला हो, चाहे भू माफिया घोटाला हो, चाहे महिलाओं पर अत्याचार हो, ये सरकार पूरी तरह से भ्रष्टाचार में लिप्त है. तो जो सरकार जनता की नजरों से गिर गई हो, वो जब गिरने गिराने की बात करती है तो हंसी आती है. भाई, आप तो जनता की नजरों से गिर चुके हो. ये जिम्मेदारी आपकी होती थी समाज के अंदर में माहौल को अच्छा बनाए रखना. और जहां तक ट्विन टावर की बात है, सर्वोच्च न्यायालय का आदेश है और सर्वोच्च न्यायालय के आदेश को भारतीय जनता पार्टी
टावर्स की परमिशन के बारे में क्या कहेंगे आप?
मैं कहता सर्वोच्च न्यायालय मतलब समझते हैं आप? देश के सर्वोच्च न्यायालय का सम्मान होता है. सर्वोच्च न्यायालय जो कहता है देश के सभी लोग मानते हैं.
वो तो समझ गए, लेकिन ऑफिशियल्स नहीं, परमिशन तो ऑफिशियल्स नहीं दिया था ना.
अरे मेरी बात ही नहीं समझे तो सर्वोच्च यहाँ पे सिस्टम है ना. सर्वोच्च न्यायालय ने इस बात को बोला और ये 2009 से शुरू हुई थी चीजें. 2009 में और फिर उसके बाद समाज के अंदर भारतीय जनता पार्टी सब बातें जब करती है तो हंसी आती है कि भारतीय जनता पार्टी में भ्रष्टाचार में पूरी तरह से लिप्त है सरकार. इसमें भारतीय जनता पार्टी बात क्यों नहीं करती है? चार दिन नहीं होता है, रोड बनाती है, रोड टूट जाती है.
We get your point, Mr. Anurag. Thank you for joining us. So the SP also questioning the BJP, saying what were they doing until the Supreme Court stepped in. We're slipping into a very quick break here. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
commemorate 75 years of Indian independence, PM Modi launched Har Ghar Tiranga campaign. And yes, the campaign is exactly what it sounds like. Under this, the centre aims to see the tricolour hoisted atop more than 20 crore houses across the country. The aim of the campaign is to motivate each and every citizen of the country to bring the Tiranga home and to hoist it to mark Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. Now, in order to make sure that Tiranga is within the reach of each and every citizen of this country, the centre has...
Everything is ready?
Yeah. Sir, is everything okay, sir? All fine?
Everything's wonderful.
I think it is a good decision by the court, and it is in the interest of the public, and it will be a lesson for all the builders.
Successfully evacuate सारा करना है, किसी को कोई तकलीफ ना हो.
To make some amendments in the Flag Code 2002. Questioning the amendments, the Congress slammed the BJP and said that the amendments in the Flag Code were specially made to favour China. Later, Congress further alleged that centre is now trying to sell the national flag. But before we delve deeper into this, let's first have a look at the original Flag Code and the amendments made to it. The centre has amended certain rules of the Indian Flag Code 2002 to aid the launch of Har Ghar Tiranga campaign. The centre, in the first amendment, allowed the use of polyester apart from cotton, wool, silk and khadi for making the hand-spun, hand-woven and machine-made flags. Earlier, the use of polyester and machine-made flags was not allowed. The next amendment came on July 20th, which allowed the display of Tiranga in open and also said that it can be hoisted day and night. Earlier, the flag was allowed to be hoisted only from sunrise to sunset, irrespective of the weather conditions. The amendment made by the centre in December 2021, which allowed the use of machine-made and polyester flags, is being widely criticized by the Congress. The Congress accuses BJP of favouring China by allowing the imports of polyester. Besides the opposition, some khadi weavers and some activists have also protested against the amendment brought by the centre in the Flag Code 2002. The Karnataka Khadi Udyog, for instance, has halted its operations and have also demanded a nationwide protest. The idea behind Har Ghar Tiranga is to invoke the feeling of patriotism in the hearts of the people and to promote awareness about the national flag. The centre believes that by bringing the national flag home collectively, it will become symbolic of not only an act of personal connection to the Tiranga, but also an embodiment of our commitment to nation building. Even though the opposition has criticized Har Ghar Tiranga campaign to the core, the BJP on the other hand has stuck to its nationalism agenda. While a political slugfest ensured over the use of Tiranga,
but also having a supply chain within the country.
A very good afternoon. Well, the Twin Tower implosion is all set to be witnessed in less than 3 hours from now. Times Now keeps you ahead with non-stop reportage and the biggest team of reporters getting you each and every angle to that mega demolition that is all set to take place. Let's quickly take you through the top headlines and then we'll go across to our team of reporters. India all set to witness the fall of Supertech Twin Towers. All preparations in place for the highest ever building to be demolished in the country. 100-meter tall structure to be razed down, 3,700 kgs explosives strapped to buildings, all nearby buildings evacuated, only ambulances and emergency services allowed near the demolition site. Corruption and collusion led to approval for 9 floors being up to 40 floors as the monumental symbol of graft comes crashing. Will build a lobby, learn a lesson. Noida residents watch with anticipation as crackdown on corruption takes place. State puts plans in place to tackle aftermath amidst apprehensions of likely damage to properties and environment.
सभी लोगों से रिक्वेस्ट है कि आप लोग इस जोन से बाहर हो जाएं।
So yes, the stage is set for safe demolition and the first big focus is of course public safety. Pratibha joining us with this non-stop coverage on what the action on ground is looking like. Over to you, Pratibha.
Right, Kritsween, we are at this spot here which gives us a vantage view of the Twin Towers right behind me there that's going to be raised now at 2:30 sharp. Within 9 seconds, the entire 2 buildings will be reduced to just rubble. So the wait is going on for that over the last several weeks. There have been preparations put in place. Residents now anxiously waiting to see what's going to happen. And at 2:30 is when the building will be raised completely. There are a few concerns as well for the residents, of course, of the fact that what happens to the debris that will be collected. The officials have said it will take 3 months to clear, and the environmental impact that such a demolition is going to have. So we are asking our viewers to join us as well. Viewers, join us, call us. The numbers are flashing on the screens. Call us, voice your concerns. If you have any questions as well, shoot it at us. We also have experts joining us on the broadcast. They will address them. We want to listen to what you have to say about this big event that's all set to take place today. The numbers are flashing on your screens. Just to put things in perspective, these buildings, the permission was taken for it in 2005, and by 2009, from 9 floors, it went up to about 40 floors. So it was an illegal construction, a battle that went on for a long time, after which the residents have now got the verdict from the Supreme Court for the entire structure to be brought down. The residents, of course, mixed emotions for the residents there. They're happy that finally the structure is going to be raised, but they also have some concerns on how it's all going to play out. Let's play out some reactions.
ये देखने आए कैसे धमाका होगा, क्या होगा, किस किस के साथ मुसीबत आने वाली है। तो अब सवेरे से फिर भीड़ हो जाएगी ना काफी, इसलिए आए बच्चों को लेके।
मैं इस ट्विन टावर को देखने आई हूँ कि क्या धमाका होगा, ये कैसे होगी, क्या नुकसान होता है इसमें, क्या या ठीक होती है।
बिल्डिंग जो टूट रही है वो देखना। सुबह से 4 बजे
बिल्कुल बहुत ही डिफरेंट सा है, अलग सा एक्सपीरियंस रहने वाला है। लोग काफ़ी इस बात को सोच भी रहे थे कि जो अगल बगल लोग रहेंगे, जब ये ऑर्डर आया था कि ये कैसे होने वाला है, क्योंकि बहुत सारा मलबा उड़ेगा और बहुत वैसे ही पोल्यूशन की इतनी प्रॉब्लम है नोएडा में, तो हम लोग यही सोचे थे कि कैसे होने वाला है। बट काफ़ी अमेजिंग है कि इन लोग ने इतना अच्छा इनोवेटिव तरीका निकाला है कि सारा इतना प्रोसेस किया है कि पूरा कपड़ा लगाया है, एंड सुना है काफ़ी स्प्रिंकलर्स वगैरह भी लगाए हैं ताकि वो डस्ट बैठ जाए। तो हाँ, बिल्कुल काफ़ी अमेजिंग है।
नहीं, लाइक ऐसा पहले तो कभी नहीं हुआ है, बट करप्शन के अगेंस्ट अगर ऐसा हो रहा है तो अच्छा है। और लोग, और जो भी अगर आगे बिल्डर्स के लिए भी एक अच्छा लेसन है कि बाद में कभी वो इस तरह से लाइक वो नहीं करेंगे, गलत वे में नहीं बनाएंगे बिल्डिंग्स।
All right, let's take in our viewers as well who are joining us. Soumya is joining us from Kolkata. Just go ahead. What are your thoughts on, what's happening? Do you have any questions? What are your views?
No, I don't have any questions, but I just want to say that Noida Authority has taken the great decision, and I would say that all over India, this decision should be taken, and in my city, it should be taken. This is my decision. Thank you.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much for joining us. So, like we mentioned, this is the reason why this story is so important. The fact that the demolition is taking place is so important because it speaks to people on several levels. Illegal structures in several parts of the cities across the country, we've seen them come up. For a lot of people, it's been a legal battle that has dragged on for years and years with no end, no victory against the corrupt builders. This time around, in this case, the residents won the battle, and they have the entire structure being brought down. From Mumbai as well, we have a viewer joining us. Shahrukh, go ahead.
Yes, ma'am. I would like to say that the people who have colluded and given the permissions, their pensions and provident fund must be stopped, so that it's an example for others not to give such dire permissions.
Okay. So you're saying just the fact that the building is going to be brought down is not enough. We need more action against the builders. They are, of course, compensating the home buyers with interest. But apart from that, you're asking for more action. Thank you so much for joining us. Let me also go across to Niyamika, who's joining us. She's also been talking to a lot of residents on the importance of this victory and also some fears that they have. Niyamika, what's happening there currently for the residents? After a long wait now, finally the buildings are going to come down. Very short while to go now, just about 2.5 hours to go. What are they saying?
Well, before we go to the residents, we would also like to show you the visuals of the Silver City Club Hall, where all these people are residing, as the preparations have started because there is just 2.5 hours left for the demolition of these twin towers. And I would like to ask my VJ to pan the camera and show that how the glass walls here in the club area are getting covered by a black cloth, because there is going to be a huge explosion that will take place in these twin towers, and for that matter they are started preparing. They are covering all these glass walls with the black cloth, and outside this area also the swimming pool was also being covered by a black cellophane, and the people are also here all set for this historic movement. They are saying that they are really excited and they are really happy over the matter that these twin towers are going to be demolished, because this was a huge fight that they were fighting against corruption, and but on the other hand they are a little bit concerned over the fact that there is going to be a blast, and that is the reason why there would be a lot of dust that would be there in the air, and a lot of elderly people are also residing here. And let us speak to some of these people who are here. What are their thoughts, because just a few hours are being left for the demolition of these twin towers. आपका क्या नाम है और कैसा आप महसूस करें, क्योंकि बस कुछ घंटे रह गए हैं डिमोलिशन होने में?
मेरा नाम शमा खान है और बस ऐसी लग रहा है कि कुछ होने वाला है।
लेकिन अगर हेल्थ कंसर्न्स की बात करें कि आपको कुछ टेंशन है उस चीज़ को लेकर, क्योंकि जितनी धूल उड़ेगी
तो है, धूल का तो है, थोड़ा सा सांस की जिसको मतलब प्रॉब्लम है जिसको, तो इस चीज़ का थोड़ा सा डर तो है।
तो आपकी तरफ से क्या कुछ प्रिपरेशन की गई है उसको लेकर?
हाँ, उसके लिए हॉस्पिटल का है और ये जो सिलेंडर है, ऑक्सीजन सिलेंडर, इसका सब इंतजाम है।
तो आप सेटिस्फाइड है यहाँ पर जितना अरेंजमेंट किया गया है?
बहुत ज़्यादा, बहुत अच्छा सब है।
और घर की अगर बात करें तो घर को लेकर कोई डर आपके मन में है?
नहीं, ऐसा कोई डर नहीं है, घर को लेकर सेफ है, बहुत अच्छा सब इंतजाम है।
Let us speak to some other people as well. सर, आप क्या कहना चाहेंगे, क्योंकि 2.5 घंटे का समय रह गया है, सारे जो चेक्स है, फाइनल चेक्स वो भी कर लिए गए हैं, कैसा महसूस कर रहे हैं?
बहुत अच्छा महसूस कर रहे हैं, जिसका 10 साल से इंतजार कर रहे थे वो घड़ी आ गई है और बस बहुत ही अच्छा होने जा रहा है।
ये जो डस्ट की अगर हम बात करें, जो एक ब्लास्ट होगा, तो आपको कहीं ना कहीं थोड़ा डर लग रहा है, सेहत को लेकर आप थोड़ा कंसर्न है?
हाँ, पोल्यूशन की थोड़ी प्रॉब्लम आएगी तो अब क्या किया जाए, अब तो ये होना तो है ही।
Yamika, apologies for interrupting. Let's also bring in our viewers who are joining us on the broadcast with their thoughts. Nitin joining us from Mumbai. Yes, Mr. Nitin.
Hi, very good afternoon. First of all, I have a question. If this building is illegal, I appreciate that this has been done wrong. But who are the government officials who are given permission while this building was under construction, and what action is being taken against those corrupt government officials who give permission for creating this building? Secondly, if the building has already been constructed, why demolish this national loss in terms of all the infrastructure? Why is this building not handed over to the government, who in turn can create a good revenue by selling this flat on auction basis? We are creating such a huge loss by destroying such huge property. Why are we doing this? Why can't we auction this and create some income for the government and penalize the government officials who have actually done injustice, or the government officials who are corrupted? Why are we not taking any action against them? That's my concern.
Okay, all right. Thank you for joining us. With that, Nitin, we are going to take that across to our experts as well. Of course, this is a concern that many have raised on why does this building have to be demolished? Why can't others be accommodated here? Why can't this building be turned to something else? It's not as simplistic as that, of course, as we know, because this is an illegal structure. It's very close to another building, the Emerald Court, and that's one of the reasons why this is posing as a safety hazard. This is a safety hazard, and that's one of the reasons why it's being brought down. Of course, idealistically, as many have been saying that, people could have been rehabilitated here. These are the differences that could have been done. In fact, very close to those areas as well, there are some slum areas. So as the building comes crashing down, it's going to be heartening to see for those people as well. But yes, that as a solution may not be possible because this is an illegal structure. The fact that it is being brought down as well. We have experts also who are joining us on the broadcast. Let me introduce them and bring them in as well on what is expected next and, why this battle came to where it is. But before that, let me also take in another caller, Arun also, who is joining us from Ahmedabad. Yes, Arun. Okay, all right. We have Jaya who is joining us from Mumbai. Yes, Ms. Jaya.
Yes, wow, this marks the beginning of victory of the over these unscrupulous corrupt builders. I wish this demolition drive is extended to the city of Mumbai, to where I reside. There are umpteen such structures. There are structures even over water bodies, creating numerous problems for the city. And it's obvious that not only the builders flout norms, there's a nexus between the builders, the netas, and the civic authorities. Otherwise, could such buildings have come up in the first place? They have always been successfully bullying the innocent residents. I have first-hand information of how some of the residents were killed because they raised voice against these unscrupulous builders. Hope all this comes to an end, and this is the beginning. And there's no fear in the minds of the residents that even any tall structure, whichever is totally illegal, should be razed to the ground. We cannot give it to other authorities and legalize it, because this illegality has been studied, and we welcome this move, and I wish that it's extended to the entire country, and particularly to the city of Mumbai.
Okay. Okay, all right. Your point taken. That's absolutely right. Thank you so much for joining us with your views. Let me also introduce guests who are joining us. We have Jaydhar as well as Vimlendu Jha as well as Kanak Gupta, environmentalist, joining us on the show because this is also going to have an environmental impact. Whether this is going to be long lasting or is it something that we shouldn't worry about much, the kind of dust that's going to fill the air, the kind of debris that's going to be here for 3 months. What is the impact that it is going to have? Let's talk about that. Mr. Jaydhar, if you can talk about the long-term impacts of it, that has been one of the biggest worries for the people. As the structure comes down, what is the environmental effect that is going to have?
Yeah, you know, this is certainly not going to help Delhi, and Delhi NCR is already, gasping for air, and our water is poisoned as well. And it seems there's a lot of excitement. It's the win of, right versus wrong and all of that. But in the near term, this is certainly going to have detrimental effects, not only for our air, but our water as well. I can see a lot of water cannons around. That just means that all of this muck is going to flow into the Yamuna. So, well, there's some good news and bad news. This explosion is going to, the bad news is this explosion is going to create tons and tons of rubble and fine dust. It's a windy day. Wind is blowing at about 12 kilometers an hour. That's the good news. Well, it's good and bad news. That's quite a good wind speed, but the wind direction, thankfully, is towards the west. So it's blowing away from the city. I would like to issue health advisories to people west of Noida, which is Greater Noida, Bulandshahr. I can see impacts of this going as far as Kanpur, Lucknow, Allahabad, or some cities along the Grand Trunk Road of India. And in terms of water pollution, this is very near, close to the Yamuna. Even if it wasn't, by just putting water cannons there, a lot of this, I'm talking about whatever is used in those explosives, as well as the dust, is going to be flowing into the main kind of water channel of Delhi, which is the Yamuna. So there's lots of reasons to be concerned. This is not going to be just short term. I think this is unprecedented and will take some, a few months to clean up.
Okay. Okay. Okay, all right. I request our guest to stay with us. Our viewer from Noida also calling us. Arun, you're on Times Now. Please go ahead with your thoughts.
Yeah, I think a lot of people have said about the builder. The biggest culprits and the mafia is Noida Authority themselves. The then CEO and the officials should be taken to task, and they should be, pressed with all the charges. It's not the question of the super tech, but they're handing love with builders to allot lands, and there are many such stall projects all over the NCR. Thank you.
Yes, in fact, this is a concern that many of our viewers have also expressed, that, it's not just about these builders. If the officials have given them permission for such brazen violations, then there could be other builders as well who were given such permissions. Are we probing that? Is enough action being taken against the officials or not? Thank you very much for joining us with your point of view on that. That's a concern that many of the viewers have also raised. Let me also talk about the environmental impact as it's going to happen. Just a few hours to go. Mr. Vimlendu, while we're talking of the impact that is going to have and the kind of pollution that we already have here, some of the efforts that the authorities have taken is to get water sprinklers. Is that going to be enough, or is that going to be just a temporary solution, but not really something that's going to have a great impact in ensuring that the dust settles?
See, we will get an answer to many of these questions in just a couple of hours. But hypothetically speaking, we talk about 55,000 tons of debris that will be that will find in just 2 hours' time, and that's a lot of debris that we're talking about. So the impact of this is going to be short term, which is immediate, in the sense as soon as the building falls, that we're talking about the amount of dust that perhaps there'll be concentrated dust in and around the building. And the other is medium term. For the next 2-3 days, depending on the wind condition, depending on the weather conditions, the situation can perhaps remain grim. And that's why many authorities and many experts are also talking about how schools and other institutions need to be closed or shut down, or some sort of caution there, because people with breathing disorders, especially children and elderly, they might face an extreme situation in the next couple of days. And the biggest problem is the long-term impact, environmental impact, which is about how are we actually disposing of these 55,000 tons of debris, the construction debris. Indeed, there's something.
Okay, how are they going to dispose of the debris? In fact, there has been a lot of discussion about that as well, and the authorities say that they're taking all efforts and it will take about 3 months. I just want to very quickly take in a few of our viewers as well who are joining us. Asha joining us from Delhi. Asha, you're on Times Now.
Yeah, thank you so much.
I just want to address the views of people who are being very philanthropic and saying that this should go to the government and all that stuff. But doing that, this is an illegal construction. The Supreme Court has ordered this demolition. If it is kept, it's on a green belt. It's a danger. It's illegal. If you give it to the government, you're validating the move of the builders, and they will become smarter and more confident to continue to do this. This is a wrong idea that people are flaunting on the TV, that's saying that it should not be demolished. That means the Supreme Court ruling is wrong. That's all I had to say. Thank you.
That's right. Very simplistic and a bit too idealistic. Perhaps will not be able to, really implement that. Thank you so much for joining us, Asha. We also have another viewer joining us, Sabyasachi from Delhi. Yes, Sabyasachi.
Hello. Good morning. Well, everybody is going after the corrupt builder, but the bigger picture also includes the corrupt officials of Noida Authority, present ones as well as past ones. They should be tracked down, traced, and they should be booked. They should also be made to pay for this thing. It is not only the builder who is responsible. In addition to it, there is also another scam which is probably growing up, is the lease rent dues. These officials are hand in glove with the builders. The Noida land, which is on lease, and construction is done after paying the lease rent. These people, these officials have not taken the lease rent from the builders, even though the builders have recovered the same from home buyers like me. As a result, when the project is complete, the Noida Authority does not carry out the registration of flats. This is another corruption case which is brewing. So the Noida officials are the main culprits.
It seems to be an overwhelming emotion that many of our viewers have also joined us with. Like you mentioned, Sabyasachi, many of our viewers have been saying the same thing. We are getting a spectacle demolition of the building. Yes, the corrupt builders are going to pay up for this kind of brazen illegality. But what about the Noida officials? Has enough action been taken against them? Has there been a check on the other buildings or the other builders that they gave these permissions to? That seems to be the overwhelming emotion from our viewers as well, a concern that has been raised on whether enough action has been taken against the officials. Sabyasachi, thank you so much for joining us with your thoughts on that, your point of view on that. Very quickly, talking about the environmental effect of what's going to happen, and because now we're inching closer towards that moment when the demolition will take place. Mr. Kanak Gupta, I just want to ask you, any precautions that people themselves can take, from their own ways, every little effort counts. So what is it that people can do to ensure that there's minimal damage, or they're doing their bit to ensure that the air is perhaps a little bit cleaner, or the environment is not as affected as it would be if they don't take their efforts?
Well, we'll see. We'll have to wait and watch as to how much the environment is affected. It will be. They're saying 12 minutes for the dust to settle in. I don't think it's going to settle in 12 minutes. It's going to take probably months for the dust to fully settle in. There is going to be a lot of PM10 increase in the environment, and there is going to be more pollution, dust, etc. Bear in mind that 3,000 trucks that have to carry out the debris, that's going to add to more pollution. Look, pollution is not just an event problem, it's a year-round problem. I really hope that this event that's going to happen sends a message across to all builders to be very careful, watchful about what they do with regular construction as well, because that causes a lot of pollution in the NCR region. As regards to what people can do, I can really hope that kids don't go to school tomorrow and day after, at least to start with. If you have to go out, please double mask. You'll have to take care of everything. I request schools to not have outdoor activities in the coming 1 week, because you are exposing children then to the dusty air. Thankfully, the air is not coming towards the city. It's going towards the west area. So I really hope that people can take care. And we are just a couple of hours away seeing as to what can happen.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much for joining us. Thanking all our experts for joining us on the broadcast and for the advice that you've given. The biggest piece of advice, if you're in and around Noida, ensure that you are double masked, not just today but tomorrow as well. We don't know the kind of impact that it will have. Experts say that it will settle down in 12 minutes, but we don't really know how it's going to be. So just to be careful, ensure that you're double masked until tomorrow. We're slipping into a very quick break here on that note. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with our rolling coverage of the biggest story of the day, the demolition of the corruption towers in Noida.
The people of the country are dipped in patriotic fervor to celebrate the day. Even as the campaign gets criticized, the idea and the main aim of the center behind this campaign was to instill the patriotism in each and every citizen. And perhaps BJP did succeed in doing that.
In August last year, Taliban seized to power. They promised they have changed. They call themselves the Taliban 2.0. But what has changed? I'm being joined by a very renowned human rights activist, Zarifa Ghaffari. Thank you for speaking to Times Now, Zarifa.
You're most welcome. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity.
Zarifa, let me begin by asking, Taliban call themselves the Taliban 2.0. How far do you see that the Taliban has changed?
I'm really curious to know about it, that whom they promise that they will change. Because if they exactly promise that they will be changed and someone got this promise from them, so that person needs to, or that team or that country or whoever it is, they need to come up nowadays and answer all the questions. So that's so clear. We knew from that starting that they will not change and they will never get that, because it's not just a war. It's not just terror. It's an ideology which they are carrying it, the same from that starting of their presence in Afghanistan. After the fall of Mujahideen, after the retake of Kabul by power in 90s, they had the same thing. They were the same people. And the same thing was happening that time as well. They was promising women rights and education and everything of women time to time, but it was just a promise. And all during the 7 or 6 years of their time, their governance in Afghanistan, they never agreed on what they promised.
So Zarifa, how do you describe the condition of women and young girls in the country right now?
In a country where women are able or allowed, not able, but are allowed legally, and unsocial wise, to sell their body parts, to sell their children, to sell their household, to sell their dreams, hopes, everything, but not able to study or work and earn some money legally and with honor to feed their family. So definitely that could be the worst happening to women. Nowadays, Afghanistan is the only one country around the world where girl child is not able to go to school, especially for secondary and higher education. So it shows clearly that how women are surviving life in a country where just your gender becomes a crime to stop you from all humanitarian rights. So definitely living in that country will cost you not only your life, but your dignity, your hope, emotions, and dreams.
Do you think there is a chance for change?
Actually, it's so clear. They have to change. They have to change. Not only starting from that small resistance or activities inside the country, but global wise, there is a big amount of resistance going on. There is previously, and in the history of Afghanistan, it was always men rising up and changing the situation. But this time we see it globally that there are women who are stepping up. Women of Afghanistan are not anymore women of 90s. So it's so clear that they have to change. Otherwise, they need to just give up.
You also recently visited Kabul, if I'm not wrong. How do you see the country has changed?
But just few days later, the closure of schools, and that also in a way that schools were open, girls were already inside school for 1 or 2 hours, and then suddenly Taliban are coming and kicking them out of their classes. So this is, this was that, climbing up into the top of a mountain and then without having anything in your hand to help you and support you, you fell down and you broke into pieces. So that happened not only to me, to everyone around the country and outside the country, for all Afghan citizens all around, especially for women.
A very good afternoon. Thanks for staying tuned to Times Now. We're getting you the largest team of reporters, bringing you each and every development. It's just 2 hours from now when we will witness the unprecedented Twin Tower collapse, the Twin Tower demolition in Noida. Our reporters get you minute-by-minute developments coming in. First up, let's begin with the top headlines. India all set to witness the fall of Supertech Twin Towers. All preparations in place for the highest ever building to be demolished in the country. 100-meter tall structures to be razed down, 3,700 kg explosives strapped to buildings, all nearby buildings evacuated, only ambulances and emergency services allowed near the demolition site. Corruption and collusion led to approval for 9 floors being up to 40 floors as the monumental symbol of graft comes crashing. Will builder lobby learn a lesson? Noida residents watch with anticipation as crackdown on corruption takes place. State puts plan in place to tackle aftermath amidst apprehensions of likely damage to properties and environment. And yes, that's the biggest story we're tracking here on Times Now. Since early this morning, we saw how the evacuation process began. Several residents living in the nearby towers of the Twin Tower that will come down in 2 hours from now has been seeing non-stop evacuation. As the evacuation process stands nearly completed, we are seeing how a green corridor has been established to make sure that any sort of emergency services that need to be pressed in the aftermath of the demolition are given a freeway. Not just that, from 2:15 to 2:45 p.m. is when the Greater Noida Expressway will also remain shut to vehicular movement. What our reporters are also telling us is that final checks have been done, and that's the process that is currently underway. As far as the Twin Tower demolition goes, we also put out detail of the plan after the demolition. How is it that the debris will be collected? 4,000 ton of iron to be sold by edifice. That's what we are being told, and a 3 months timeline that has been set by the Supreme Court. As far as the latest evacuation process go, interestingly, viewers, what we also saw this morning is how several members from various NGOs, in fact, went ahead to rescue some of the stray animals, stray dogs in the vicinity. So making sure essentially that no trace of human beings, animals, any sort of a living being remains in the vicinity ahead of the demolition. 2:30 p.m. is when we're expecting the mega demolition to be carried out. Now we do know we're talking about 3,700 kgs of explosives attached to the Twin Towers, and that's the plan of action at the moment. Let's quickly play out a reaction by one of the activists as we keep up with those visuals of how several members of different NGOs early this morning carried out evacuation of stray animals as well. Listen in.
हम और हमारी जैसी बहुत सारी टीमों ने लगभग 35 डॉग्स
35 आपने अभी इंश्योर कर लिया है कि अंदर
एसीपी साहब ने कहा है कि अभी 12 बजे तक आप यहाँ रहिए. आज भी हमने 2 रेस्क्यू किए हैं, लेकिन मुझे लगता है कैंपस में नहीं है, पर आसपास के डॉग को अटैक ना पड़ जाए, डर ना जाए, घबरा ना जाए, तो हम लोग रहेंगे यहाँ. लार्ज एनिमल्स भी हम लोगों ने यहाँ अराउंड 18 के करीब यहाँ से हटा दिए हैं या दूर कर दिए हैं यहाँ से लोकेशन से. वो 8 अगस्त से पहले ही कर दिए थे, क्योंकि लार्ज एनिमल्स में कैप्चर करने में बड़ी दिक्कत होती है. वो सब हो गया है.
Let me go across to Karishma, who's joining us with more details. Karishma, we're counting down to 2:30 p.m. That's when we will witness something that the country perhaps has never seen before. Earlier on, a similar demolition drive was carried out in Kerala, but the magnitude of this one is something that remains to be seen, something that perhaps no one in the country has seen so far. What kind of preparations are underway? We're being told that several agencies, several officials are currently pressed into action, making sure that all final preparations are done with.
Well, yes, absolutely. These are the last-minute checks and balances that are going to be taking place. In fact, we had a breaking news earlier that all the checks and balances have been completed by Joe and his team of blasters, and every floor was manually checked. And now the evacuation process is also complete. And at 2:30 p.m., the controlled explosion is going to take place. And we are here at a vantage point from where you can see the towers right behind me. 29 floors in one and 32 floors in one that are going to be raised to the ground. Adjacent societies next to it completely covered in white curtains to ensure that there is minimal damage. You can also see the roads over there. That is the flyover where there is a lot of activity. Media cars also parked over there. Fire tenders and ambulances as well we can see over there. So all preparations, all checks and balances have been undertaken by the Noida Authority. Yesterday also there were checks that were being made by Pankaj Singh as well. So clearly no stone being left unturned so that this goes on as smoothly as possible and is executed to the T. The debris, which is going to be one major concern after the demolition is over, and the mushroom cloud of dust. Obviously, keeping that in mind, smog machines, water machines have also been kept nearby so that immediately whatever can be controlled is going to be done. But all of that is being taken care of. Last minute checks and balances, because 2:30 p.m. under 2 hours when this explosion is going to take place, and under 9 seconds the two towers right behind me are going to be razed to the ground.
Absolutely. So yes, the priority at the moment of all the agencies involved in the evacuation process is to make sure that public safety is up next and is given priority. And in that sense, we've seen the couple of first few hours in the day, lot of evacuation work that was underway. Now, Karishma, if you can just break down details of, and perhaps Aishwarya can also come in on this. Aishwarya, what kind of a barricading, what kind of a security arrangement do you see around yourself? Because, you know, the agencies along with the engineers who are currently making sure that all arrangements are in place said that the first few hours today are going to be only about evacuation and making sure that no living being is in that very vicinity. So what is the current situation looking like?
Well, as we are bringing the latest reportage on the demolition of Twin Towers, I'd like to tell my camera person to just pan and show. Currently, Alok Singh, the Noida Police Commissioner, is here at the spot, and he is now being briefed by the DCP Central and DCP Traffic of Noida about the ongoing preparations and the arrangements that have been made as far as the Noida Police is concerned and the authority is concerned. And certainly all the roads which are leading to Twin Towers have completely been barricaded, and they have been stopped on the other side. Now there has been confirmation by the Noida Authority to the edifice engineering and the jet demolitions that they can go ahead and blast these two twin towers here in sector 93A. There are several officials as well who are at the spot, and you know, a joint meeting is currently held here at the integrated center which has been established by the Noida police. On the other side, some exclusive information that we are going to break down to our viewers as far as the edifice engineering and jet demolitions is concerned. We have been told that you know, the manual checking of each and every column, each and every floor by the brickman and his have been done. It started from the 32nd floor, and the team has checked both the twin towers till the basement and have given go ahead.
So thorough inspection was carried out on each and every floor. Aishwarya, stay on with us. You know, while we do talk about how this very Twin Tower is going to come down like a pack of cards, our focus also remains on the concerns, especially of those living in adjacent areas, in adjacent towers. And we've opened our call-in lines as well. In fact, we have Shankar Chatterjee calling us this afternoon. Good afternoon, sir. What are your concerns? How do you view this demolition? Seem to have lost that line with Mr. Chatterjee. Karan is also calling us from Delhi. Good afternoon, Karan.
Yeah, A very good afternoon. So I'd like to first of all congratulate the Noida and the whole UP government for taking this action. And earlier it was not possible because the other corrupt parties were in rule. But with Modi ji and Yogi ji, it's all possible. So and I would also wish that the same things come in Mumbai also. Like earlier we had a caller who wanted that we also get rid of corruption. So now that Devendra Fadnavis and Eknath Shinde are in rule, so I want that these things come there also. And at the end, I would say Har Har Modi, Har Ghar Yogi.
Okay, so that's an appeal going out for you for other states as well. That similar action, a similar model be followed in several other states, because remember, this is a corruption practice that's not just limited to Delhi NCR, as Karan has also pointed out. Thank you for pointing out that concern. Appreciate you joining us with that point of view. Well, viewers, we keep you ahead with the plans this evening. We have Mohan Sharma also calling us to express his views. Good evening, Mr. Sharma. What are your concerns?
Yeah, my concern is a very big building, and construction is very difficult, and demolition is only in few seconds. Why not government take over that and use it for public utility services like hospital, education, or rehabilitation center, whatever it is? Why they should is a punishment? You can punish it also by taking it over, by government and using it.
Okay.
That's my concern.
Okay, Mr. Sir, perhaps, due process wasn't followed, laws were violated, due consent wasn't taken from the nearby residents. There is a plan of action that is followed with regards to these building societies, and upon flouting those norms, it does become quite questionable and perhaps sends out a bad example as well. But I thank you for pointing out what you really feel. We have Ravi Kumar calling us from Shivamoga. Good afternoon, Mr. Ravi Kumar.
Very good afternoon. See, my concern is how about the residents, those who have purchased the building, the apartment, by sacrificing their life. They have paid installments, they have paid their hard-earned money. Who will bail out them? That's the main concern. And how come the local authorities kept quiet even after knowing that some illegal building is coming up? Before allowing the society to sell the apartments to the residents, the government should have stopped it. I'm really with the residents who are losing their rights, who are losing their
Okay, so your sympathies go out to those who have put in their money in these very twin towers. But if that does help in any case, sir, the Supreme Court has directed the super tech builders to repay all of that amount with a 12% interest as well. Now, the big question is, when will that happen? And that's where your concern also comes in. I thank you for joining us with that point of view. We have GD Sharma calling us as well this evening. Good afternoon, Mr. Sharma.
Yeah, very good afternoon. Yeah, I thanks to central government and the state government as well as the judiciary who initiated to demolish this towers. It saved the safeguard of the entire country and found the rule and regulations how to construct the building and how to allow the.
Okay, so Mr. Sharma of the opinion that this is a step in the right direction. We have Anusha calling us from Mumbai. Good afternoon, Anusha.
Yes, I would like to tell you that this courageous decision is lauded, extended throughout the country, particularly in the city of Mumbai, where I belong to. And I have also been, it is a known fact that the builders over here bully the residents. They even resort to killing the innocent residents who raise their voice against them. It's a known fact that there is underworld links and there is a nexus between the builder, the civic authorities, the netas, the underworld links, and this is terrifying to an innocent resident, and therefore we literally lend a, bribe going on around us. There are innumerable such illegal structures, and this decision is to be lauded. And there are not only illegal structures on our land, also on water bodies, and that has been the cause of flooding of the city of Mumbai. As you all know, the monsoon mayhem is a known fact, and this is the shows that when one is on the path of righteousness, whatever the disillusionment all these residents who fought for this demolition would have undergone, total disillusionment in the past for so many years, it has finally paid. And so
absolutely,
it's a story of success of people who are fighting,
and a story that must be followed, a story perhaps that's turned out to be a lesson for some of those corrupt builders. Thank you, Anusha, for that. We have Karthik also calling us this afternoon. Good afternoon, sir.
Hi, good afternoon. Yeah, this is I'm Karthik calling from Chennai. It's just a concern that while the decision is to be lauded, where the buildings are getting demolished, but what happened? I mean, why didn't the government take action earlier, right? I mean, the action should also be taken against officers.
All right. I'm afraid I'm going to have to interrupt you there, sir, because we have a reaction coming in from the police commissioner. Let's cut across live.
हमारा कम्युनिकेशन सेटअप है, जो पैरेलल कम्युनिकेशन सेटअप है, जो वायरलेस का है, उसका पूरा लॉग यहाँ पे रखा जा रहा है, जिससे कि हम लोग पूरी तरह से एक्सक्लूजन जोन और उसके बाहर का जो ट्रैफिक वाला जो एरिया है, वो ट्रैफिक का क्या मूवमेंट है उसको देख रहे हैं. गूगल मैप के माध्यम से भी जो हमारा पेरिफेरल ट्रैफिक है उसको भी हम लोग देख रहे हैं. अभी तक सारी स्थिति सामान्य है और ये जिस तरह से हमने इवेंट को प्लान किया है पूरा उसी के अनुसार चल रहा है. पूरी तरह से तैयार है और काउंटडाउन की तरफ हम लोग बढ़ रहे हैं. थैंक यू.
So there you heard Alok Singh, the CP Noida, breaking down details of the evacuation plan, also talking about the exclusion zone, how nobody is going to be allowed to enter that very zone. We have Nand Kumar calling us this afternoon, going back to our viewers who continue to monitor the situation on ground very, very closely via Times Now. Good afternoon, sir. What is your concern? Seem to have lost that line. Now let me go across to another viewer calling us this afternoon. Sonia is dialing in from Noida. All right, seem to have lost that line as well. So we're picking up a lot of viewers who are tuned into our broadcast. Essentially everyone, viewers today in the country, has their eyes on this mega demolition that will be carried out at 2:30 p.m. In a little over an hour and a half from now is when we will see the Twin Towers come down like a pack of cards. Times Now keeps you ahead with each and every development coming in. For the moment, living a very short break here.
The most pressing issues, the most informed minds, free and fair exchange. Converse India with Rahul Shivshankar.
For decision makers, for the opinionated, for the unsure, for dinner time debaters, from metro stations to living rooms.
We present the facts and help India make a judgment. From stories that shake the nation to opinions that shape them. I delve deep into the biggest news of the day and uncover every fact, every source, and every statement through debate and discussion. Get a 360-degree perspective on every story and get a conclusive closure. Join me, Navika Kumar, on the News Hour at 9, only on Times Now.
party symbol, flag of Bharatiya Janata Party is also there. But what is more shocking is this particular sticker which has been on the windshield of this car, which says that Vidhayak Vidhan Sabha Sachivalaya, Gadi number 0505. I'm sorry, it's a UP 32HH0001.
पुलिस को नहीं दी, यहाँ पुलिस को नहीं दी, यहाँ पुलिस को नहीं दी, यहाँ पुलिस को नहीं दी, अंदर क्यों घुसे ये लोग? आप बताइए, पता करिए उनसे कि 15 लड़के कैसे इस सोसाइटी में अपनी उपस्थिति देखेंगे। इससे बड़ी शर्म की बात नहीं हो सकती।
Pedestrian-only Atal Bridge on Sabarmati River in Gujarat's Ahmedabad. Union Home Minister Amit Shah inaugurated the office of NI in Raipur. Chief Minister Bhupesh Baghel was also in attendance. Murugamud seer Shivamurthy Swamy has been booked under POCSO Act for sexually assaulting girls. The NTA will reconduct NEET exams for girls in Kerala who were allegedly forced to remove their innerwear. And all eyes are set on India versus Pakistan match in the T20 Asia Cup will be played today 7:30 p.m. Indian time. Panel constituted to probe the circumstances surrounding Jai Jayalalita's death submitted its report to Tamil Nadu Chief Minister M.K. Stalin.
I am saying some things that are maybe not the easiest thing in the world to hear. I'm not sitting here or standing here promising you tens and tens of billions of pounds of goodies straight away, because I don't think that's the right thing to do for our economy. But I want to be honest with you. I want to be straight with the country about the challenges we face and what is going to be required to fix them. And that's why I think you can trust me on this, because I'm prepared to do that, even though it's going to cost me politically.
everything is ready.
Yeah. Sir, is everything okay, sir? All fine?
Everything's wonderful.
I think it is a good decision by the court, and it is in the interest of the public, and it will be a lesson for all the builders.
Successfully evacuate सारा करना है, किसी को कोई तकलीफ ना हो.
Internet has been suspended for the next 5 days in Manipur, and also Section 144 has been imposed in parts of the state. The tribal bodies have called for an economic blockade, and this has escalated. The protests have escalated on Saturday when there were reports of vandalism and arson, and a car was also vandalized by protesters in the Bishnupur area.
Business houses, when the economy opened up, they were naturally, what are business people most concerned about? They are concerned about, making profits, having a good supply system. So you had a situation where
Very good afternoon, I'm Kritsween Balyan. Well, the 103-meter tall Twin Towers in Noida will be brought down this afternoon at 2:30 p.m. We get you the biggest reports here on Times Now. First up, let's begin with the top headlines. India all set to witness the fall of Supertech Twin Towers. All preparations in place for the highest ever building to be demolished in the country. 100-meter tall structure to be razed down, 3,700 kg explosives strapped to buildings. All nearby buildings evacuated, only ambulances and emergency services allowed near the demolition site. Corruption and collusion led to approval for 9 floors being up to 40 floors as the monumental symbol of graft comes crashing. UPCM says no place for illegalities in New Uttar Pradesh's deputy links graft to the Samajwadi Party. Noida residents watch with anticipation as crackdown on corruption takes place. State puts plans in place to tackle the aftermath amid apprehensions of likely damage to properties and environment. Another FIR in sexual assault charges. Dogging Muruga Math in Karnataka after Muruga Matsya and 4 others being booked under sections of POCSO Act. Now former MLA SK Basavarajan and his wife accused of sexually assaulting the warden and harassing kids at Math. Amidst allegations of Sonali Fogart being drugged to death with an eye on her property, Haryana Chief Minister writes to Goa government seeking CBI probe. Chief Minister Pramod Sawant says if required will transfer case to central agency. India rejects China's insinuations that New Delhi pressured Colombo against allowing docking of Chinese research vessel to Sri Lankan port. Asserts it will take decisions based on its security concerns. And let's straight away go across to Pratibha, who's joining us with non-stop details on what's happening on ground. 2:30 p.m. is the time, Pratibha, when we will see the Twin Towers, the illegal structure, fall to the ground, and all eyes really on the process and what really happens thereafter.
Absolutely, Kritsween. It's just 90 minutes to go. The countdown has well and truly begun. And these are the towers right behind me in Sector 93 of Noida. The Twin Towers of corruption, the super tech towers that are going to be reduced to rubble in just 9 seconds at 2:30 p.m. It's a story of you, me and everyone else. We have the biggest team of reporters who are joining us on the broadcast as we cover every aspect of the demolition that's taking place. We have our reporters through the city on the preparations, talking to the residents, covering every aspect of it, every angle of it, and of course the best views of the explosion as they take place because of the kind of messaging that's going to go out, an explosive message to the corrupt. First up, let me go across to Aishwarya, who's joining us live. Aishwarya, now is the time when the countdown really begins in 90 minutes.
Of the Noida, Mr. Suhas LY clearly taking a note. We are here at the Integrated Command Center, which is being established over here. The Police Commissioner of Noida, Alok Singh, and District Magistrate Suhas LY taking a note. This is the command center, the Integrated Command Center, and all the information from different authorities is being passed on over here to the top officials, and the brief has been given as far as the demolition of the Twin Towers are concerned, and they have taken a brief note. All the authorities are here, and the fire service and the other agencies which are being involved, they will directly pass on the information, and all the CCTV cameras which have been placed on different locations, the command center will take a note of these CCTV footages, and if any thing unlikely of happen. Suhas is joining me. Suhas, just one comment. How is the preparation as far as the demolition drive is concerned?
Preparation is all on track, and experts are guiding the demolition process. And
सर, एक बहुत बड़ा टास्क है, इसको आप कैसे करने वाले?
Just visited the Integrated Command Center.
विशेषज्ञों के देखरेख में सुरक्षा मानकों के दृष्टिगत जो भी नियमानुसार कार्रवाई करना है, ध्वस्तीकरण की कार्रवाई की जा रही है.
So the Integrated Command Center over here, if I can tell my camera person to again pan in and show Alok Singh over there, the Noida Police Commissioner, taking a note of this command center. There you can see the monitors have been placed where different CCTV footages is being monitored, and all the authorities who are involved in this demolition process will directly reach out to this Integrated Command Center, and 2:30 is the time frame where all the authorities will reach out to this command center, and there is also one police official which is sitting over here and taking a note of all the calls which are coming to the command center, and transferring it to the respected authority if needed. So this is a kind of command center which is established over here at the JP flyover, and certainly the police commissioner and the district magistrate over here has been speaking to police officials. They have been narrating about how the entire command center is working here ahead of the demolition. It is just now 1.5 hours to go, where the where the demolition will take place, and this is the most important place as far as the demolition drive is concerned. The incident command center, where all the top officials are now here: DCP Central, DCP Traffic, District Magistrate, the Police Commissioner, and we are also expecting the CEO of Noida Authority, Ritu Maheshwari, to also arrive over here ahead of the mega demolition. And certainly, as far as the preparations are concerned, all the officers has been saying that they are quite confident. All things are in place ahead of the mega demolition at 2:30, and certainly the green signal has been passed on to the edifice demolition to demolition at 2:30 sharp, and they have been communicated for the same. On the other side, as far as the engineering team is concerned, they have said that they have checked manually all the wires and the equipments which is being placed, and the implosives which have been installed in the building for the controlled blast, and on their part as well, they are ready sharp at 2:30 to demolish these two buildings, the Twin Towers here in Noida, India's third tallest building, as under the controlled blast, and all the 15 authorities who are in consideration with the entire process of demolition is ready, and they are also in place. We have been told that more than 500 police personals are keeping track on the nearby areas which have been completely sealed. Now it is just 1 hour to go, where the Greater Noida Expressway will also be will be stopped, and at 2:30 sharp the demolition will take place. On the other side, there have been water sprinkler system and anti-smoke gun which has been also here at the adjacent area to the Twin Towers as well.
Certainly, Aishwarya, as you've been reporting, from the spot in the last few days as well, it's not an easy task bringing down such a huge structure, ensuring there is no collateral damage, ensuring there's only minimal damage to the areas around. It's a thickly populated area. There is a building very, very closely adjacent to it. So there are a lot of challenges as well. So a lot of work that has gone in, and of course to also ensure that there is cohesive coordination between all the departments, which is why the top officials are here and they are coordinating on what's going to happen. Just about 90 minutes to go. These two towers that have become the symbol of corruption are going to be reduced to just rubble in 9 seconds. 3,700 kgs of high-grade explosives that have been placed inside the building. Final checks are done. Finally, it comes down to 2:30 p.m. when one man is going to click on that button and the entire explosion will take place. Who is that man and how has he chosen to do the big task? Listen in to Chetan Datta himself.
Obviously I'm nervous. मेन दिक्कत रहती है जब एक्सप्लोजन होता है तो कुछ ना कुछ फ्लाई करता है. ऐसा था कि यहाँ जो कंक्रीट में हम लोगों ने एक्सप्लोसिव फिट किया है, जो कंक्रीट में एक्सप्लोसिव फिट किया है, तो वो एक्सप्लोसिव काफ़ी हद तक फ्लाई करेगा ड्यूरिंग द एक्सप्लोजन, और एक्सप्लोसिव जो फ्लाई करेगा तो वो आसपास की बिल्डिंग्स को हार्म कर सकता है. सबसे बड़ा चैलेंज एडिफिस के पास यही था कि सबसे पहले इस एक्सप्लोजन के टाइम इस कंक्रीट को कैसे कंट्रोल किया जाए कि ये फ्लाई ना करे. वहाँ इन्होंने से 4 लेयर्स ऑफ आयरन मैश से इसको पहले कवर किया है. उसके बाद ये जियो फाइबर है, इसकी भी 2 और 3 लेयर्स लगी हैं, विच विल completely control the fly of concrete.
So as the demolition takes place, with that one click of a button, all eyes are going to be on these buildings. For several years now, these buildings have been here. Anybody crossing through the expressway could not have missed these buildings. It's been an iconic structure, but a structure of corruption at that, and it's going to be brought down. In the broadcast today, we are going to be talking about how the entire structure is going to be brought down, how the building will collapse onto itself. Talking to the residents, we're also going to be getting you ground reports and talking to the experts, all in the build-up to that moment at 2:30 p.m. But let's give you a detailed account of how that's going to play out. How are that 9 seconds going to be? How is that explosion going to take place? What is the work that has gone behind it? Let's get you this special report.
Let's get you the biggest story of the day, rather the explosive story, because when it comes to the Twin Tower explosion, the mega explosion that will be taking place on Sunday afternoon, it is a one-of-a-kind, unique demolition derby that we are calling it, because we are looking at these twin towers, how the towers of dream turned into towers of corruption, and it will blow in the face of those who were involved in those graft charges right after the order directly came from the Supreme Court. How in a controlled version that this explosion will be carried out, with over 3,500 kgs of explosions that are being used, the challenges that are going to be faced with this explosion, especially when it comes to the residents in and around the area, and of course those people who will be taking upon the challenge upon themselves to carry out this explosion, as mock drills are also being held. All eyes of the country will be on this twin towers, the super tech Noida Twin Towers that are in densely populated sector 93A of Noida, that will be watching and having their eyes on when this unique demolition drive will be carried out.
That's right. All eyes are going to be on these twin towers, but we're covering every aspect of it. And one of the biggest reasons why this has a connect with us is because this is a story of you, me, and everyone across the country. A legal battle on the illegal structures. It was the residents who took on the builders who had permission to build just 9 floors. They built up to 30 floors in violation of the norms. Now the residents finally having their victory and having the illegal structure completely razed down. So this is a story of the victory, also of a big message being going out to the corrupt babus as well as the builders. Niyamika is joining us live with the residents. She's going to get us the voices of the residents, because remember, for them it's a very happy moment. After several years, finally it's the moment that they have been waiting for. For now, they have been shifted out of their homes. The towers that are close to these twin towers, the residents have been evacuated. About 5,000 of them have been taken to Silver City. Niyamika, over to you. For the residents, it's a very, very big moment. I'm sure they are waiting with bated breath for 2:30. A structure they have fought against for so many years, now finally going to be razed down.
Well, absolutely, they are eagerly waiting for this moment, as this was a legal battle which they have fought for over a decade now, and today the historic day has finally come, and they are all set to witness the demolition of these twin towers, and they are quite excited over the fact that today this is going to happen, and they are also a bit concerned about the fact that how this is going to affect their own houses, and that is why they are saying that we have a bit of confidence over the Noida authorities. They have provided all the arrangements here in the Silver City, as you can see in the visuals as well, and you can see behind me that these are the residents of the Emerald Court who are residing here in the Silver City Society, where all these arrangements have been done by the society members itself, as they are saying that they are ready to give all kind of arrangements, and even the medical checkup arrangement is also being done here. Oxygen cylinders are being provided here in this area of the Silver City club area in which all these people are residing, and when the proper food arrangements are being made, you can see behind me that water is being served. People are having their lunch right now, and proper arrangements are being made so that they can feel really comfortable here in the other society. Let us go across to some of the people what they want to say about this matter. Ma'am, क्या कुछ कहना चाहेंगी? आपको यहाँ पर जो भी अरेंजमेंट्स मिले हैं, आपको सेटिस्फैक्शन है, आप खुश हैं आज के?
बेटा, हम तो बहुत खुश हैं। भाई हमने इतनी मेहनत कर रखी है, मेरे बच्चा ने बहुत ज़्यादा बहुत अच्छे से किया है। लेकिन ये दुख है अभी वो टावर के आसपास वाले वो परेशान हैं, ये सबसे दुख की बात है कि भाई वो जगह जगह आके रुक रहे हैं। लेकिन हम ये चाहते हैं कि भाई हम मदद करें। मेरे बच्चे लग रहे हैं, ये सारे मेरे बच्चे हैं, बहुत मदद कर रहे हैं।
इतना बड़ा ब्लास्ट होने जा रहा है, जो धूल कंकड़ उसकी भी समस्या देखने को मिल सकती है कि सेहत को लेकर?
बेटा ध्यान तो बहुत कर रहे हैं, भाई एसी वगैरह ढक रहे हैं, दरवाजे बंद कर रहे हैं अच्छे से, और आगे ईश्वर के हाथ में है।
लेकिन
अपने घर को लेकर हर concerns that several residents have spoken of. Stay with us. We will come back to you for more details on that and get us the residents' voices as well. Let me quickly bring in Priyank at this point as well. Priyank, less than 90 minutes to go now for the demolition to take place. All eyes are going to be on the Twin Towers as they are going to be brought down. A lot of preparations. We are seeing top officials here at the spot to ensure everything is in place for a smooth execution.
Yeah, Study Pratibha, but before that, Supertech has already released a new statement. Our colleague Aishwarya Jan has access to that. And the statement, Aishwarya, if you can join us, he can brief us regarding the statement which has come up. So, a few minutes before the demolition can happen, statement from Supertech. What is the update, Aishwarya?
Well, as far as Supertech is concerned, they have released a fresh statement clearly stating that was constructed, they are constructed the premises of Emerald Court project, which is just the nearby society, and this is the building that they have been saying that was approved by the Noida authority in 2009, which was strictly in accordance with the then prevailing buildings, and they have followed all the laws, so they have defended themselves again as far as the state government and the laws are concerned. They have also stated in this statement that no deviation from the building plan which was made and building was constructed after making full payment to the authority. Remember, in the Supreme Court as well, there were several complaints which were raised that what plan was proposed to the residents of Emerald Court and the ATS village, that was not fulfilled, and illegally these buildings were built. But now a statement coming and defending themselves, saying that they were constructed after making full payment to the authority. And
they are not talking about, Pratibha, what's the tricky thing which is coming out from the statement, that Aishwarya, as you know, that a 5,300 square feet, 1,000 square feet of area was allotted, 46,000 I'm sorry, for this Emerald Court. But later to that, in 2009, it was a time when the things started changing. Around 5,600 square feet more area was allotted. So I'll just describe it through visuals, Pratibha. Mohan, if you can come this side. So that Emerald courtyard, those towers which are covered, Pratibha, were the towers which were given permission by the Noida authority to be constructed as the G+11 towers. But later to that, once this particular proposal came up in 2009, without informing those residents who had paid 70,000 rupees more for getting fresh air and sunlight, this particular star started coming to picture. And it was around 2011 when this particular tower, suddenly started growing up. There were several tweaking of the document.
Completely blocking the view. Priyanka, apologies for interrupting you there. We just have to quickly take in some breaking news that's just coming in. Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath now talking about the demolition there, urging the officials to ensure that the security norms are followed in the Supertech Twin Tower demolition. So Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath himself reviewing the preparations that are taking place for the Twin Tower demolition. Remember, a lot of preparations have been put in place over the last few weeks. Now it all comes down to what happens at 2:30 p.m. Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath himself is reviewing the preparations. The top officials are also here. Remember, we also got your word from the top officials who are trying to ensure that everything is in place. Priyanka, I'll come back to you. Before that, let's quickly take in a word from Aishwarya. Aishwarya, we've been reporting top officials reporting directly to the Chief Minister, who is personally monitoring the situation as it unfolds.
Yes, there's some audio issue. Aishwarya is right there with me. Aishwarya, Yogi Adityanath has also come up with a statement. Now, what exactly has been, summarized by the Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh? Because the Samajwadi Party and the BJP politics has already started in this issue, because this particular tower and the proposal changing up started in the year 2009.
Well, certainly, and today morning as well, Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath clearly tweeted and said that this is new Uttar Pradesh, and and there will be no false corruption buildings that can be established over here. And certainly, now Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister has urged officials to ensure the security norms to be followed during the Twin Tower demolition. And certainly, we have seen that how the DCP and the police commissioner also have had a conversation with Avnish Avasthi, and later the entire information was passed on to the Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister. But certainly, what happened in 2009, the BJP currently is attacking the former governments in the state, and they are saying that no corruption will be there in the state, and if such buildings have been made, then they will be demolished. And this is an example that is being set over here in Noida as well.
Yes, Pratibha, back to you.
Okay, all right. Priyank, Aishwarya, Nyamika, request you to stay on with us. We also have Manoj Mittal, President of the Structural Engineering Association of India, joining us to explain to us how the demolition is going to take place. Remember, this is a controlled explosion that's taking place. Implosion, waterfall implosion is a method that's used. So how is that going to be? He's going to be talking about that. Advocate Anish Agarwal, who is going to be joining us from the Resident Welfare Association. It's a big victory for them. A celebration after several years of a legal battle. S.K. Sharma, Vice President of the Resident Welfare Association, also joining us. But before we take in a word from them, a very, very quick break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with ground reports and talking to the residents on the battle and what this destruction of the building really means. ongoing coverage of the destruction of the Twin Towers of corruption continues. These are the towers right here on your screens that are going to crumble to just rubble in 9 seconds at 2:30 p.m. So all eyes are going to be on that. The wait begins. The countdown has already started. But we also have politics playing out over it. Remember, the Supreme Court said that there was a collusion between the corrupt builders and the corrupt officials of the Noida authorities. It was in 2009 that the incident had taken place, when the violations had taken place and the building came up. So the BJP has now taken a dig at the SP, saying the SP government was in power. They're responsible for the corruption towers in the BJP regime. This corruption tower is going to be brought down. The SP hitting back and saying, what was the BJP doing? If it was taking on the corrupt, what was it doing for so many years until the Supreme Court stepped in?
देखिए, जो अवैध निर्माण उसको सरकार के अनुसार या कोर्ट के ऑर्डर के अनुसार उनको तोड़ना ही पड़ेगा. उसमें कुछ हो नहीं सकता, क्योंकि ये मैसेज आना चाहिए कि आप सरकारी संपत्ति पर या अपनी खुद की संपत्ति पर जो छूट है उससे अगर ज़्यादा बनाएंगे, जो आपको नॉर्म्स है उसको तोड़कर बनाएंगे, तो उस पर खिलाफ कार्रवाई होगी.
कि काफ़ी समय से ये खबर चल रही है और मेरी यही अपेक्षा है कि किसी को कोई इसके अंदर नुकसान ना हो और जो है सब कुछ जो है अच्छे तरीके से सुरक्षित ढंग से हो जाए.
उत्तर प्रदेश में भारतीय जनता पार्टी की सरकार पूरी तरह से भ्रष्टाचार में डूबी पड़ी है. हर डिपार्टमेंट में भ्रष्टाचार ही भ्रष्टाचार हो रहा है. जनता की नजरों से भारतीय जनता पार्टी की सरकार गिर चुकी है और जब ये सरकार गिरने गिराने की बात करती है तो हास्यास्पद लगता है.
Okay, all right. So those were the reactions coming in. The BJP and the SP indulging in a blame game, blaming each other for the tower of corruption, as it's being called. We'll get in more details on that. But remember, the BJP has been accusing the Samajwadi Party, saying it was under the Samajwadi Party regime that the permission for these buildings and the violations had taken place. And remember, the permission that these buildings had was for just 9 floors. Then they violated the norms and went up to 30 floors in clear violation. Sabya Sachi is joining us live with more details on this. Sabya Sachi, the politics playing out over it, the SP and the BJP blaming each other for the corruption towers and the subsequent demolition.
हाँ, 5 मिनट में शुरू.
Okay. All right. We'll get more details on that. But remember, the BJP has said, and the reaction has come in from no less than the Chief Minister's office, saying this is the new Uttar Pradesh where there is no place for corruption. The tower that has become a symbol of corruption is now going to be demolished completely. It's going to fall like a pack of cards, because this is what the new governance is about. The Samajwadi Party has responded to it and has said, if the BJP was so aware of it, then why did it not take action immediately after Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath took over? Aishwarya joining us live. Aishwarya, the Samajwadi Party has hit back at the reaction coming in from the BJP, saying, why not take action? Why is it that the authorities are taking action only now after the Supreme Court stepped in?
Well, remember, it's a long legal battle that has that the residents of the Emerald Court and the ATS village, which are the adjacent two societies of Twin Towers, have fought just not at Allahabad High Court, but also when the Supertech, has challenged the Allahabad High Court order in the Supreme Court, and therefore the reason perhaps the Uttar Pradesh government was waiting for the orders of the Supreme Court. They have stated it earlier as well that till the time the Supreme Court doesn't order anything on the Twin Towers, they will not take any action. And this is something that the Samajwadi Party has to realize. But they are attacking the Bharatiya Janata Party on the other side, that why not they have taken the decision prior when they know that these are illegally made buildings here in Sector 93A. The Samajwadi Party has also attacked Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath several times. Remember when there have been several illegal buildings and towers which was bulldozed in different parts of Uttar Pradesh as well, but they were not.
Okay. Right. All right. Aishwarya, do stay on with us. Let me take that question across to Anish Agarwal, advocate. He was